says no sound detected. I have sound. Okay. All right. I'm going to crack open my liquid death. It's cold and it's hot outside, so it's the only cold water I have in my house. So, living vegan is the only way to respect animals. So what morally justifies you not being vegan? I also have some resources, videos on YouTube, Dominion, it's a documentary. Dairy is Scary is just a short video, goes over what is required in dairy or to produce dairy. Then I also have nutritionfacts.org. Definitely check out their website. You can also just Google vegan Dailey Dozen. It's a science-backed checklist to make sure you get everything you need in a day, because we're not really taught how to eat. And when we say we want to be healthy, like, what does that mean? So I like how they break it down, and they provide great resources to reference. So they break down studies, they make videos of the studies, and they tell you what the conclusions are. It's really helpful. Mobius, what is up? Hello, hello. It's good to see you. I'm honored that you're here. It's good to see audience from other social medias. So appreciate you being here. Yeah. I'll take anybody coming up. You got to be over 18 though. And if you're a vegan, I only really want to have abolitionist vegans on my panel. If you're into baby steps, don't bother coming up. Yeah. The longest lived people, yes, they eat the least amount of animal products and the most amount of plants. There are vegan communities, and we are finding that those that eat that way tend to live longer lives and have higher quality lives as well. Jessica, hello. Jonathan, I'm not going to argue with you about is a vegan diet good for you. You can be healthy using animals, but I'm saying because we can be healthy using not animals, then why don't we do that? Venus flytraps are not sentient. That's like saying my phone is sentient, responding to stimuli. It is true. It doesn't matter. Even if, let's say, no one has ever been vegan in our history, but we have the studies that are available to us right now, like just go look at the science. I'm vegan because I realized that I was demanding animals be oppressed and exploited for trivial, pointless things that I could get this entertainment and pleasure elsewhere. I don't need to use an animal. I don't need to hack them open and lick their insides or steal their babies so I can drink whatever comes out of the mom or, drops out of the butt of the chicken. It is not easier to raise and unalive animals. It is actually easier to raise plants. We could feed more people on an acre of land. We could feed 15 people on an acre of land if you fed them a plant-based diet versus just one person if you raise animals. You have to feed the animals too. You're forgetting about that. They don't just live off air. Even the grass has to be supplemented because we're losing, the cobalt in the soil. So it's better if we eat a variety of plants and get our nutrition from a variety of sources rather than relying on the same 5 animals. Not to mention, we're totally ignoring that these individuals are sentient beings. We wouldn't trade places with them, yet we recognize that they can suffer and we put them through literal hell. No, plants are not sentient, need a brain or central nervous system. Your God may allow you to use animals, but that doesn't make it a moral justification. You don't have to. I get protein from plants. Veganism is against the exploitation of sentient beings. It's not against just unaliving. We're against the unjust unalive. Freesia, hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, I have peer-reviewed studies, but I really don't care to throw studies at you. We could be throwing studies back and forth. Why don't you go look up what I'm talking about? Why don't you go watch, like, I have resources right here. You don't believe me about nutrition? These are all peer-reviewed studies. I don't need to quote them. They're right there. Yes, prawns are sentient. We are moral agents. We can do better. It doesn't matter that we're mammals. Humans apparently taste like bacon. Does that justify taking a human's life? I might have missed your question. Sorry, it's going by really fast. You could be a pro-life or pro-choice vegan. If you're adamantly one or the other and not vegan, you're being a hypocrite. You're not being logically consistent. I do think that if you have vegan options available for your companions, yes, you should try to feed them vegan. Companions are a little harder because you can't communicate with them. I would focus on your own choices first if you truly want to stop using animals, and then help your companions. No, I don't want anyone sharing their pictures of their food. No, everyone can thrive using plants. It's just about whether you have access to everything, or if maybe you have some special situation you need to speak to a specialist, but those are rare cases. Most people in the world can live and thrive vegan. Bred to be vegan? Oh, animals. That is such a nothing argument. They're not bred for it. That just means someone had this intention. I'm going to bring this person into the world for my purpose. It means nothing. No, we can thrive using plants. Okay, I got a couple people. Got to be over 18. Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like we've spoken before.
No.
Okay, your name looks familiar. So what morally justifies you not being vegan?
Uh, well, I'm just, it's not morally bad to not to like eat meat. Like there's nothing morally wrong about eating meat. Like absolutely nothing.
Can I do what I want
Um,
to animals?
no.
Oh, okay. So why can't I do whatever I want to animals, but yet you can eat them?
Well, there's a difference between using them for what they were put on Earth for and abusing
Who
them.
says what they're put on Earth for?
Um,
What is your purpose? Who put you on here on Earth, and what's your purpose?
well, I could get into that, but I choose not to.
Is it just that you have
Um,
your own purpose?
no,
Oh, okay. Someone
I'm
has a
not.
purpose for you?
I'm not self-righteous.
Is this your religion coming out? Is that what you're saying?
No, and that's why I said I'd rather not get into it.
Okay, so what morally justifies using someone without their consent?
Well, I just want to say this.
No, answer my
Do you
question.
realize
I want you to
how
answer my
many
question.
animals?
Can you answer my question? I understand you're deflecting to crop deaths, which is pathetic. Can you answer my question?
Well, it's not
What
pathetic
morally
because
justifies using
a
someone
lot of
without their
bees
consent?
die.
Okay, you have a good day then. Any issue that you have with crop farming is compounded by using animals. So move along. Maybe you'll learn something if you watch. Max. Hey.
Dino Nuggies.
Oh God, child again. You were here yesterday. Aren't you bored? It's the same thing you said. I'm so bored. Owen, please tell me you're an adult. Oh no. Oh my God, no. Why did you come up? Hey, Owen. Are you over 18? I can't hear you at all. There's no sound. I don't know, maybe you need to step down and come back. Bernie Burns.
How's it going?
It's going all right. Are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 41.
Right on. What morally justifies you not being vegan?
I can't say that I could pin an answer. I was the guy who was asking I was like, "What about my question?" You're like, "It's going really fast." It is just kind of like a genuine. I remembered seeing a story about a really like devout vegan couple, and like I would agree. I think if you're like an adult, you've got.
Are you going to go on to some parents that didn't know how to feed their child and claim that it was child abuse to feed vegan food to their child?
No, it was like the science of does a baby, because what I was reading
The
was like
evidence
baby
actually shows that
proteins.
children thrive using plants. They don't need to use animals.
But infants, like development of organs.
Infants don't need to eat animals. No.
Animal proteins.
No. They
like
drink
milk.
maybe their mother's milk, but they don't need a cow's milk. That's ridiculous. A cow's milk is meant to turn a cow, a baby cow, into a 100-pound cow, or I don't know how heavy cows are, but a ton. They're heavy. You want to feed a cow's milk to a little baby?
No. My question was, do they get enough just protein from their mother's milk?
Absolutely.
That was my question.
Yes.
Okay, so like, what are there vegan? What do they call them? Like formulas and stuff?
Yeah, they use soy. There's other ones that use pea protein.
Pea protein, okay. Yeah, no, I really wasn't. I'm like, sorry, I'm probably going against what you're asking because you want people to like argue with you. I'm like, no,
it's more like I want to know. I'm answering your question when it really has nothing to do with your choices, so that's why. People often bring up other reasons to kind of deflect from their own responsibilities. Like, I don't mind entertaining those side questions, but I mean, like, what does this have to do with your choices, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that was I'm like, I don't know the details, and that's why that news story was interesting to me, because I was like, well, what were they giving their child then if the child didn't develop the organs properly? If they were really experienced vegans and.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to eat vegan or non-vegan. In fact, most people are deficient in something. They just don't know it because they don't get checked up.
Right. I'm like, was it because the mom wasn't producing enough protein in her breast milk or something?
I don't know the story, but there's evidence that shows that vegan mothers do just fine and have healthy babies. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is interesting. It didn't fully make sense to me because, that's what I thought, was that the baby was drinking the mother's breast milk. So I'm like, wouldn't that have taken care of it? But I think then the story was like the lungs didn't develop correctly or something, so the baby couldn't breathe,
Okay. Well, again, that has nothing to do with veganism. Veganism is a principled stance against the exploitation of sentient beings. I don't know what those parents were doing and what they knew, if they were talking to a doctor at all. There's a lot of responsibilities you need to do as a parent. So.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Well, thank you for fielding my question. Yeah.
Well, so can you answer my question?
Oh, yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
Living vegan is the only way to respect animals. I mean, I do agree with you. I think that like being a contemporary human being, and if you're consciously like, trying to be morally as high ground as possible, then you would just respect life, so.
Well, it's not necessarily, it's more about if you were the victim, what would you want your oppressor to do?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's like respect life. My mind goes like, well, it is kind of the life cycle of animals on Earth to kill each other, but I go, well, but we have sentient ability. We can think above that, so exactly. I agree with this statement. I unfortunately am I'm mostly like a pescatarian. I don't I don't really eat much red meat, but I do eat fish.
So it's not really so much. It's about that you're still viewing animals as like a resource.
Like a lower thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely disagree with that. No, I
Yeah.
think they're a precious thing. They're all unique. I'm sitting here petting my dog right now. They're all special. So
Exactly. Okay, so you do know where I'm coming from.
I
I
do.
would I would suggest then just look at the resources that I have here. These are free on YouTube. I would definitely urge you to watch Dominion. That way, if you do continue to use animals, you're going to know what it is you're demanding. You'll know what is acceptable under all those labels and not be hypnotized by whatever story you make in your head. Like, free range chickens are all happy and have all their feathers and clearly are content.
Oh no, yeah,
roaming
they're
around.
still not. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good
They're
to
still
know. It's
not.
just good to know the reality so that you're not, tricking yourself into thinking it's okay that I'm doing this to someone. You should know the gravity of each choice that you make. So that's why I encourage people to watch Dominion. It's not a gotcha. It's literally
Yeah,
just showing you
totally.
standard practice. And then
Yeah,
below that
yeah.
is dairy is scary. Do you know what goes into dairy, like how a cow produces milk?
I mean, I have seen a number of documentaries on the horrors of
Okay.
what happens to livestock, and
Well, I
I
mean,
also live in Colorado where,
what I meant
yeah.
was more like, do you know that the cow has to be pregnant in order to produce milk?
Oh no, I didn't know that. I didn't.
Yeah. So cows are mammals, and mammals only produce milk after they've had a child or a baby. So
It's
cows
not
have
like
to.
hormonally induced.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's hormonally induced because they have a baby, but yeah, no, it's not like they eat grass and just produce milk. They have to have a
Right.
baby. So every year, if not multiple times a year, they're forced to have a baby so that their milk production keeps up.
Oh my
And
God. Believe me, yeah, I understand. Like,
yeah,
I was just about to say, I live in Colorado. It's a really ranch heavy state, and like, there's like the stock shows and stuff. I've been to the stock shows, and while you're walking around the stock shows, there's these booths that are literally have giant graphic designed posters of bulls mating with cows
yeah,
selling you the products. It's like the absolute extreme of we're using this as an object for production purposes, and
yeah.
it's horrific. Yeah, I
I
agree
mean,
with you. It's
and
horrific.
even small scale, like farmers just having animals mount each other, is still exploitation because they're setting up this situation to rob this pair that they're forcing together. They're trying to rob them of their offspring and
It's
whatever
not
comes out
natural by any
afterwards.
means either, and yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, it's all. It is. It's absolutely terrible. I do.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with it.
So what I would just say is now that you know that, would you be
Yeah.
more open-minded to maybe considering veganism?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I am. I would say I am, and that's why I was really asking that.
The baby
Just in
formula
general, like
question.
you don't. Yeah, maybe you do know more about. Yeah, like
I
what
mean, I have
happens.
some references. There's other, so the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics did have the position that it was safe for all stages of life. They've updated their definition because they have a paper that only focused on adults. And there's rumor that they might come out with one that's focused on more vulnerable populations like children and the elderly. But there's other references like the Canadian Pediatric Society, the British Dietetic Association, Dietitians of Canada. They all say that a vegan diet that's well planned is safe for children and elderly people. So there are resources that if you're curious, if maybe you have a baby or someone you know has a baby, obviously talk to the doctor. But there are ways to absolutely make sure that they get everything they need. The
Cool.
babies, yeah, the
Yeah.
infants.
Yeah. I mean, right. Yeah. Like I think my brother's a pharmacist. He was kind of telling me some different stuff, and like, yeah, it is interesting. I don't know, but no, I don't have a baby. I don't have know anybody who does, but it's always been an interest to me. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always cared for all animals, and yeah, I mean, the guy who came on, he's like, all animals are just they were put on Earth for a purpose. It's like, okay, yeah, you really have an ego there, don't you? So.
Yeah, those people they just want to debate. They have these debate skills they really want to use and they don't want to think about logic. They just want to beat me. And that's where I get frustrated because I'm like, I just want to talk to genuine people like you. This is genuine, I want to
This is
actually
usually what I'm looking for too. Yeah, I just have
yeah.
questions.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, just hold this
Well,
in
I
your
hope you don't
mind.
run into. Yeah,
Oh,
thanks for
yeah,
the.
I would just hold in your mind if the number of animals you want exploited for you from now on, and if it's zero, the only way to do that is to live vegan, and just
Right. I am in a tough spot because my dog is having these specific kidney issues right now that he needs like a medical hydrolyzed animal protein food in order for him to process protein at all.
Well, your
And
dog
I
is not
haven't
you,
seen.
so I would say I
Yeah.
understand that you may have to get your companion special food, and I don't want him to be in or her, him or her,
He's a
him.
12-year-old rescue dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't want to put him in harm's way, but you and any other choices in your life, you can make change still.
Oh, yeah. I'd say my favorite food is rice, actually.
Throw some beans in there, and you got a perfect,
Yeah.
complete protein there. So
I do. Yeah, any like real protein meat actually kind of makes me feel a little ill. Like that's why I'm more of a pescatarian.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, there are vegan fish now, vegan fish products. Maybe check those out. Just if it's a taste
I
pleasure
was
thing.
trying the Impossible for a while there too, and that's pretty good. I
Yeah.
can't argue against it at all.
Yeah, I'm for having all these alternatives. They're not. I mean, they're healthier than their counterparts, but I would prefer people do choose to eat healthy. That way, they don't blame veganism. I feel like a lot of people go vegan and they don't know how to eat, and then they hurt
They get
themselves because they ate junk food all the time, and then they blame it on the vegan diet when really they just weren't taking care of
right.
themselves.
And
So,
not to mention, like a third of all of the methane, or all the methane from all the cow farts. I mean, it's literally killing the planet.
I mean,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's not even just it's their burps, and then there's also their waste. Then also to consider is when we grow their food, the fertilizer that we put on their food. Most of our crops are actually going to them, so they're
yeah,
like a big part of environmental degradation, water degradation, biodiversity loss, land use, water use, yeah, greenhouse gas emissions. It's crazy.
lots of reasons. And
I know, right? Yeah.
if the whole country is literally like struggling like crazy because we can't buy eggs, it's like, yeah, maybe we should figure out an alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mung beans are really cheap, and you can make a pretty convincing scrambled egg out of them. Tofu, you add a little black salt and a little nutritional yeast, maybe some turmeric for color. I mean, it's a scramble as well. Like we do have the
I grew up on
alternatives.
tofu too. I lived in Hawaii as a kid, and there was a lot of tofu going on. And
I love tofu.
then, yeah,
Sometimes people
it's
don't
not
know how
bad.
to cook tofu, and it can be off-putting. I've had tofu I didn't like. So,
Tofurkey dogs aren't necessarily the most delicious thing on earth,
no.
but
They get the job done though if you're like camping and you want to roast a weenie over the fire, just for culture's sake, you do the cultural thing of roasting marshmallows and hot dogs, and so that gets the job done.
the camping experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, well,
Well,
I
I better
appreciate you
get back
being
to
up,
work
Bernie.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally. Have a good rest of your chat. Hope you
you
don't
as
run
well.
into the chicken nugget kid again.
Yeah, I know, right?
It
Yeah,
was kind of funny. I
oh
have to
no,
say.
I chuckled too. It's funny just because the kids are out right now. I'm like, oh, you guys have nothing to do. I can tell you're bored. All
All
right,
right.
I'll see you around, Bernie.
Yep.
Bye. Or Bummy. Was it Bernie or Bummy?
Bernie Burns. My
Oh,
name's
Bernie
actually
Burns. Okay, good.
Bryn. My name's Bryn, but it's just like my nickname.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it was lovely talking to you, Brim.
You too. Have a good one.
You too. See ya. Wow, that was lovely. I enjoyed that. All right, Orlando. Sorry, I can't watch the chat at the same time. Hey, Orlando, are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay. So what morally justifies you not being vegan?
I think that humans are like more like I think that we live by a higher moral code than animals. I'm all for like I think that the way we like produce meats and milks and products that come from animals can be very cruel, and I'm all for like purifying that to as much as possible. If that if we need to make it more like those institutions more private for that to happen, I'm all for that. I don't like. I think we need to steward the earth, and in doing that, take care of animals, because I do believe that they are creatures that shouldn't be treated like trash, of course. But I do think that we are morally superior in the fact that like we have, like we're able to sit down and have these conversations. Animals can't. Like do think that we are like just morally superior as humans.
Okay. So I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
So if we have humans that can't advocate for themselves, is it okay for us to exploit them?
No, of course not. But again, it's a human. Like you look in the wild and the way animals breed, it's like, a deer is running down a doe and forcefully they're like having intercourse. It's not like, humans for us, it's there's enjoyment, all that stuff, but it's also a special thing between a male and a female that, in the right way it's supposed to be done, like love each other, not like, there's of course horrible
You mean
cases
like
out
with
there that,
consent, right? That's what you
yeah,
mean.
with consent. Like it's a consensual thing, and it's like it's something that's more than just mating and just like an instinct for them. It's basically purely instinct. And I'm not saying like, force them to breed, but like there's certain things like that. And animals like kill each other all the time. We could never kill each other because we have a moral code we live by and they don't.
Well, we have humans that don't really follow the code, but I think well, let me take a step back. Let's go back to, you said animals basically not having moral agency, essentially, right? Like they just kind of do whatever. Yeah. So that there is actually something to this. It's called moral patience. So moral patience are just sentient beings, regardless of their knowledge of morality. Another example of moral patience would be children. We don't hold children to the same standards as a cognizant adult, because children don't really understand if something's right or wrong all the time, right? And it wouldn't be fair to punish them if they weren't really aware of what was wrong. So animals are in the same boat because, most of them, the ones that you're referring to, I assume you're talking about wild animals, as the animals that we raise are not unaliving anyone. But the wild animals are surviving harsh environments, and they're only doing what was taught to them and what's kept them alive. So they just keep doing that. If we've seen that when animals are taken from fight or flight mode, they do show more compassion and morality and that ability to weigh out what's right and wrong. But there's still moral patience in that they just deserve moral consideration. They can suffer, which is the main issue. So go ahead.
Continue your thought.
I was just going to say, so the reason why we don't, for example, like our worst humans, we still don't put them through like a slaughterhouse, because we recognize that human still has the capacity to suffer, and we should respect that. So, so then what is it that justifies it for the animals? Because they also can suffer.
Well, I kind of want to go to the point when you're talking about, babies and like their moral compass. And,
well, not just babies, but children, right? Like children can't really consent to get married, right? They may be able to say it or show signs that they like, they're open to it, but that doesn't mean that they can consent.
Right, and I think as the parent's job to correctly and lovingly raise your child.
Exactly, I do agree. Yeah.
In a way that like is loving, but also like it's like this is the right
with their
way.
Best interest.
Of course, but animals, like even if they're raised by their parent, they don't.
Well, again, their parents are not moral agents. Their parents are moral patients as well. So again, you're holding them to our standards when they're all basically children.
Right, but I think what you just said, like that you're holding to our standards, that's not like they do not have the moral standards we have. We are morally superior. We have morals. Animals, any morals that we see animals have, humans have taught them that. Like you see a domestic dog versus a wild dog, that domestic dog doesn't bite, doesn't jump up on people. Okay. The reason it does that is because that brings a question. Those.
Would you say it's moral to eat wild dogs then?
I mean, I don't. I would never eat a wild dog. I think it's disgusting. But
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm
I think
confused about your argument here. So you're saying that because animals harm each other, we can harm the animals that aren't harming anyone? I'm trying to bring it back to like what justifies you not being vegan.
no. My thing is like, if you want to be a vegan for for said health reasons, that's fine.
Oh, I'm
But I
not. No,
think
no,
that
no, no. Veganism is not about health. Maybe that'll help. Veganism is a principled stance against the exploitation of sentient beings. It's not a diet.
right. I think that's more my critique is like, and like my how I opened this thing was, I want to be, because I believe we are completely moral beings. I want to be as moral in the way we handle animals, but I do think that
Well, the most moral thing we can do is not exploit them.
right. But I think exploiting is not the right word to like.
Do you,
Like
do you
I
know what
think
exploit
it's like
means?
exploiting. Yeah, I know exploit means to
It mean,
use someone without their complete knowledge of something they don't want to do.
essentially to use them unfairly, right? Yeah, for your
Right.
benefit.
But I don't think that, and in the right way of doing things, I don't think that if you hit like a farmer that is like morally, morally having cows and killing the cows, and they're not locked up in cages. I think there is a moral way to do that, but I think that's not exploiting. It does get to a point where it's like chickens haven't seen the light of day. I think that can be exploiting, or just animal abuse in general. But I think that with doing it the right way, you can eat animals and it not be exploiting them, because they are animals. Like there is a level where it's like we're over you, and I mean we're over plants. We're
Okay.
over like the
Okay.
Hold on.
living as
Yeah,
well.
go ahead, Freesia.
So Orlando. Okay, so earlier you were talking. It's Orlando, is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so earlier you were talking about how humans are morally superior, right? Because
Yes.
we have the understanding of what morals are.
Exactly.
Okay, and so we agreed that our fellow animals are moral patients, meaning that they may not understand morals, however, they deserve moral consideration because they are sentient, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we're talking about exploitation and the act of unfairly using someone to benefit us, it doesn't matter what condition that someone is in. It doesn't matter if that chicken is in a cage or if they are out in a field. They're still being exploited. They are being raised, they are being brought into this world for humans to eat their flesh and whatever else they want from them, their eggs, whatever. Like that is still exploitation.
I get what you're saying, but my thing is too, like they don't occur. They will never like we talk about what's the word you used again for like they don't moral sentient with sentience. Is that what you said?
Moral patience, you mean?
There you go. More patience. They will never. Animals will never have the capability to have a moral code whatsoever. And I believe
So
that
I get that, but
animals are beneath us.
you understand that we know that it's wrong, right? We know that it's wrong to use someone unfairly. We know that's wrong to take their life.
To use someone though, to use people unfairly, but animals are not people. I think that's the clear distinction that animals, while we should respect animals, are not people whatsoever.
What does
and
respecting
are
hold
not.
on, what does respecting our fellow animals look like?
I believe respecting your one, it determines if it's a pet or not, but respecting your fellow animals, treating it well, make sure it's fed well, make sure it's living in an environment that is clean, safe, and that they can flourish in. But I do believe that using their meat to sustain yourself and to, for whatever reason is completely fine as long as they're living in, I think the
Wouldn't you
morality
say
in
that
eating meat is
wouldn't you
keeping
say
them in a
that
safe
taking
environment.
hold on, wouldn't you say that taking someone's life would be not respecting them? I mean, is that a respectful thing to do, to take their
No,
life?
not whatsoever. But it's
Exactly. So then we're
taking
not
someone's
respecting
life.
them.
Again, when you say taking someone's life, you're grouping animals into the human category.
What I'm saying when I say someone is I'm saying that they are their own sentient being with a subjective experience. They know what's happening in the world. They have their own inner world. They have their own wants, desires, needs. They have a life that they want to live. We can see that with cats. We can see that with dogs. Do you consider them objects, or do you consider them their own being who's having a subjective experience?
Well, I consider them not as objects. I consider them as a living being that I don't believe they have true desires as we do. I believe they have I believe animals run off instinct, and instinct can change in where they are. So like a dog's instinct are different than a wolf's instinct. They still have, that two like connecting features because they are both canines.
Do you think, hold on, do you think that dogs have their own personalities?
Yeah, I believe certain dogs have their own personalities.
Okay, so then that would be them not running just on instinct. Would you say that someone with a person or something, as you want to say, I would say someone, because if someone has the ability to have a personality, to me, they are a someone. They are not an object. They're not an in
Well, I also
between
think their
thing.
personality
They
is.
are they are their
I
own
think
being. They are
the
a
I think
someone.
yeah, I think their personality though is very limited. Our humans' personality is so complex. Like we're still, I mean, most people don't fully understand their own personality. It takes a while to fully understand my likes, my interests, what I'm into. Dogs' personalities can vary for sure, but they vary I mean, such a small difference than what a human's personalities are. While they have, I think intelligence can be a determining factor of whether or not we should eat an animal. I think that's fair. I think an animal is
Wait,
intelligent enough, say a
so
dog
you
that has,
hold on.
you
So
know,
I just want to I just want to make sure that I'm hearing correctly. So you're saying that
mhm.
intelligence should be what determines whether or not we eat their flesh?
To an extent, like there are animals that are very intelligent that I'm cool with us eating. But I mean, well,
Like pigs, for
honestly,
instance, right? I mean, the
I,
fifth most
I
intelligent
think that was
animal.
personally a bad argument on my part. I think it can vary per culture. In American culture, dogs are pets, right? In other culture, dogs are wild animals. So
But
I
we're
think
talking
that was
about you
probably a
and your
bad argument on my
morals,
part.
right?
What?
We're talking about you and your morals, right?
No, of course. But again, I just think that they're like they they don't have morals. So I don't the conversation about we have morals, right? So we can determine whether or not it's wrong to eat them, but they don't have morals. So the moral argument that they have, I don't think that is valid at all.
That
And I
just
think
goes back to them being moral patients, which means that they're worthy of moral consideration. So us as moral agents, we can see them
right, but their moral
deserving moral
consideration should
consideration.
be putting them in an environment and treating them well. I don't believe that their moral consideration should be treating them as we treat humans on the life thing, on the killing thing.
But
They
you're up here advocating for them to be unalived when they don't have to be. That's what you're up here doing, is you're saying that they
yeah.
deserve moral consideration, but let's
Mhm.
still raise them, take their life, and eat their flesh, and do whatever else
Well,
we
yeah,
want to do to
because
them.
and one of the main reasons I say this is because meat consumption is very good for humans. Protein,
Okay,
I mean, there are
why don't
hundreds
we
of studies. I
eat
can't
humans then?
because humans are moral beings and humans
What if
are not
we bred
animals.
humans that are just slightly off of us and will forever never meet the same intelligence as us? We just breed these humans into existence for us to
Then
use.
that person would be an evil person because they are humans at the end of the day.
No, no, no.
Humans
Their
different
DNA is
IQ.
actually now just off enough that they are no longer in our species. We actually can't mate with them, but they still kind of
Like a
look like
monkey.
us. No, no, no. They have branch. You know how evolution works, right?
Right,
So
right.
so we have the same species creating the same, but we have mutations eventually that come in. So there's going to be a point where a human gives birth to a non-human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this
Well,
individual now, very little intelligence, or actually, let's make it more fair. They're very intelligent, but they're the intelligence of the animals we use.
a human can't give birth to something that's not a human.
Did you hear my explanation of evolution?
I understand that, but
Okay,
humans
so
will
I'm
never.
talking about that situation where that human gave birth to a non-human. This individual is so different that we can't mate with them. We can't. They're not our species anymore. Is that too hard for you to swallow? I have other examples of this same
No, I
scenario.
understand what you're trying.
Okay.
I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
just trying to take you're saying that my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
species is special, and I'm trying to give you an example that you would still disagree, or you would still agree it would be immoral to use someone, even though they're not in your species.
Right. But I mean, if that was to ever happen, and we gave birth to someone that was not of the human species and did not have our morals and things like that, then the way it'd be weird to eat that person or that thing, whatever it is, but the way we treat that thing is different than the way you and me would treat each other in person or treat each other, because
So
that
even
thing is
though
no
they
longer
have the
human.
capacity to suffer, they're, intelligent beings, they're just as intelligent as
Right.
animals, you still think it would be okay to enslave them?
Well, I don't think that proper farming and proper handling
No,
of cattle is
okay,
enslaving, and
okay.
that's the argument I'm making.
What is wrong with human slavery? Why is human slavery wrong?
Because all humans deserve the right to be free.
But what is it in humans that we treasure so much? What is it that we respect in other humans? Why should I care about respecting another person that's just walking by me? Why should I respect them?
Well, I personally believe that I believe that we are all made in the image of God, and I believe that we are all
Okay,
equal.
I don't
I believe
believe in
we are
your God,
100%.
and no religion will
That's fine. It's fine.
justify
I'm just
using
making a claim that
someone. Okay, so if I don't believe
I
in
can
your
make the argument
religion,
without
tell
religion
me,
100%.
if I don't believe in your
Sure.
religion, tell me why I should not cause other humans harm for my convenience.
Because I believe that all humans are equal morally, and I also believe that
Yeah, but you're not telling me why. You're just saying, I believe this. You see how that's not evidence? That's just your thoughts. Can I offer you an answer?
Sure.
Okay. Do you see yourself in other people in that you know that you're having a subjective experience? They are probably too.
Say that again.
So do you see yourself in other people in that you are having a subjective experience, right? You're experiencing the world and you're having your own preferences of what's happening to you. When you see other humans, I mean, you can't know for sure that everyone's sentient, right? You can just go off of the fact that you are sentient. You're recognizing the world, right? You can safely assume other humans are also having their own subjective experience, right?
Yeah, I believe people can have their own subjective experience.
Okay, so I'm saying that's what we care about in humans, is that there's someone in that body having an experience and could have the capacity to suffer. That's why those humans that don't provide anything for the society, or they don't understand moral constructs or contracts between people, right? That's why we still value them and protect them, or at least find it immoral to exploit them, because they're still an individual having an experience. And I'm telling you, the animals are the same. They're having an experience.
So you believe that having an experience and being able to live your life and experience things is enough for complete protection?
Protection?
I mean, and like,
so let me put it this way.
treatment.
You could live longer and have a way cushier life if you were a slave, if someone took really good care of you, but you would not have rights.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that you could have this great treatment but just not have your rights. That's still immoral.
No, I 100% believe that.
So you keep talking about welfare for animals. That's the same thing. You're just saying, I'm going to treat my slaves really well, but you're still going to rob them of their freedom and their autonomy because you're using their bodies for your wants. You don't care about their best interest.
But I mean, again, this is where we're going to completely disagree because you don't believe in what I believe in. But I do believe that without any religion whatsoever, there is no case for morality, because there is no moral code. We're just animals. I believe, because where does the moral code come from? Just the fact that we can experience things. I don't think that being able to experience life happening gives you the protection or the respect that it gives a crab. I believe that we are made in a way that we're supposed to. We have a moral code that is ingrained in us. Children know. No one has to tell you, hey, don't kill anybody. We know that killing is wrong. We know that we inherently know that things are wrong. You can't just explain, we know that we have this moral code because we can experience things.
That doesn't make sense. Let Chip respond.
Okay, so I just want to ask you, do you value your freedom?
100%.
Okay, do you think that you value your freedom because of your intelligence, or do you think that if you were intellectually challenged, you would still value your freedom?
I think one of the reasons I'm able to value my freedom is because I have the intelligence to value that.
So, do you think that an intellectually challenged human being does not value their freedom?
I believe they do value their freedom to an extent, but I believe that it's the duty and responsibility of people that are intellectually adequate to take care of their freedom, make sure that they have their freedom, and they should take
That's
care
not
of that
that's
person.
something else. That's you're just adding prefixes and stuff to it. So if you
How?
value your freedom, if an intellectually challenged values their freedom, do you think that the value of the freedom comes from an instinct that you have or from intellect? Like, do you think a child who does not understand even the concept of freedom that they do not value freedom?
I believe that most. I believe that all children, to an extent, understand freedom.
Yeah, do you think
If
that
I
that
put a, if
understanding comes from being taught what freedom is, or it's inherent understanding that they have?
I believe it's an inherent understanding because we're humans and we
Okay,
have a higher.
so then
We're
why
born with
would
a
you
higher
assume?
inherent understanding.
Okay, so then why would you assume that animals do not have the same inherent understanding of freedom? After all, they do display the same things, don't they? If you put an animal in a cage, they will try to get out to their best abilities. Pigs, for
Hmm.
example, they have been shown to work together to unlock latches to get out of situations. So it
Right.
seems to me like they have the same inherent wants as us. It's just you want to rationalize it and put a different spin on it because they're part of your group. So therefore, you would not want to oppress individuals of your group. But at the end of the day, a brain is a brain, man. They
Well, sure. If I put anything, and that's again an argument I made. If I put anything a confining cage, especially an animal, they're going to try to get out because they do not belong in a confining cage. That is why I'm for a uh, honorable way to do farming. If I take a pig and put it in a 10-acre plot with a bountiful amount of food, water,
Yes, yes,
great
yes, yes,
habitat,
yes, yes.
and
Yeah,
I take that. But
I've heard
listen,
it
listen,
all.
listen.
I've heard, but I've
But
heard
listen. If
all
I
this
take that
stuff.
same
But I've heard
pig
I
and
don't
put
care
it,
about that. I don't care about that. Yes, I've heard it. You give them big cages, and all of a sudden it's all good. But since you value your freedom, right? Do you think
Mhm.
if somebody would provide you with a large enough space where essentially you could be doing everything you want? Let's imagine your city, right? Your city
Right?
is the city where you live, but you could never leave that city. Would you say that it is fair towards you to not be allowed to leave that city? After all,
No, that's not fair.
you could be living your whole life. Okay, so then if you provide a large enough space for an animal where they yet again can live their whole life, why would you think it's fair to keep them confined?
Well, I guess my question to you would be, what's the difference between us and animals?
There is no difference between us and animals that justifies the difference in treatment. Otherwise, there's a lot of differences between you and me. There's a lot of differences between me and any other animal.
So there's no. So we are there. We're just beings that are able to understand more of our environment.
Yes, that's essentially it. Because if you understood how our brain works, if you looked a little bit into brain chemistry, you would realize that actually our brain is so immensely similar to that of animals. In fact, the only part that is not similar is the fact that our brain is larger and can store more information, and that a large portion of our brain is dedicated towards reading faces and human behavior. But otherwise, our brains pretty much work the same way. They take input, they create this subjective experience, they create consciousness, which we don't really understand how it works, but it does do the same thing in animals. We know that for a fact. So I feel like I just fail to understand because, like, let me ask you this: what do you value out of your life? Is it the knowledge that you get, or is it the experiences that you've had?
I mean, I value my experiences, but I value to be able. I value the freedom that I have to be able to make my own choices and to do things that I believe are right. Right.
Okay, so if you
But
value the experiences that you've had, so if you value the experiences that you've had, then surely your life is valuable to you because of the experiences you've had. Shouldn't that logically follow that the life of an animal is valuable to them because of the experiences that they've had?
right. But I don't think an animal they fully understand the experiences that are going around them. They are not intellectually on the same level as whatsoever.
So wait a minute. So if you couldn't understand the fact that your experiences matter to you, but you would still feel it, because when you answered this question, it wasn't a question where you had to think and try to
Right.
understand some logic behind it. You responded pretty quickly, which means that you feel it that way, because that's how we feel, and that's the reality. We feel that the best parts of our lives are our experiences. So why wouldn't you assume that an animal feels the same way? Just because they can't verbalize the fact that you shouldn't be taking their experiences away or oppressing them or using them for something you don't need, how is that any different from anybody doing that to you if you were mute, deaf, or in a way where you couldn't communicate to anybody?
Well, I think my answer for that would be, and that's a great argument, but my answer for that would be because I believe there's a special thing about being human. I believe that in
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah. Your religion, yes, yes, yes. That's
no,
the
not even
imaginary
just
thing that.
not even just on religion. People that are there's, I mean, the host of this, you're atheist, right? Correct.
I'm definitely atheist. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Even if you don't have to believe in religion, we still have there's a higher calling of being human. We have a moral code, we have a way to treat people. But my question to you would be, if it's just based on experiences, etc., if you have a group of people, because this happens throughout the world, you have a group of people, they're in a horrible situation, like if you put people in extreme situations, what's wrong with killing someone in order to survive? What's wrong with that?
What's wrong if you're in an extreme situation? I would still think it is immoral, but it is
What
justified.
what is
That's
immoral
the
about
difference.
taking a human life? What's
It's
immoral? What is
immoral because they value their own life. Because they value their own life. If you value your life, I wouldn't take your life because you value your life. And I will tell you pretty simply, your life is everything to you. You value your life just as much as my life is everything to me. So you value your life just as much as I value my life. And the life of an animal is everything to them. So they value their life just as much as we value ours.
I
It's just
disagree
that
with
yet
that.
again, they cannot verbalize it. Or
I
well,
do not believe
if you
animals.
disagree with it, you will have to come up with some argument against it. You can't just say you disagree with it.
No, I'm about to expand on that. I believe that animals will never do not enjoy their or experience their life as much as we will ever be able to. You look at sheep. Sheep are constantly getting themselves in situations that will end their lives completely. Animals are
Oh,
constantly
because
getting in
humans don't do that.
situations. What?
Because humans don't do that. What are you talking about, man?
No, what
Humans
I'm saying is
constantly find
animals
themselves in
do not
situations
have
where
the
they need
capacity to
help,
value their
don't they?
lives that humans do. Animals consistently do things
Okay.
that are
You keep
detrimental to their
saying
lives.
this. You keep saying the same thing over and over again. You keep referring to
Yeah.
the intelligence of animals and how that justifies you dominating them. You're literally just saying might makes right. That's all you're saying. You're saying they're not as smart, so I can take advantage, use their body for my pleasure. That's all you've been arguing like repeatedly for the last 20 minutes.
And
I mean,
also,
yeah,
like
but I think that's
at the end of the day, I feel like we can go down. I understand. You think animals are inferior, whatever. They're not, by the way, but you can think that all day long. But at the end of the day, when you make this choice to oppress an animal, you're not making the choice between oppressing a human or oppressing an animal, and then you have to justify it by saying, well, a human is more valuable to me and explain it. You're making a choice between oppressing an animal or making a plant-based sandwich. You're oppressing an animal for a sandwich that you forget about. You're taking the whole existence of a sentient being, somebody who values their life, somebody who feels, somebody who emotes, somebody who thinks, and somebody who feels love, fear, all of the things we feel. And you're doing all that for what? For 10 minutes of food, which you forget about in a couple of weeks?
well, I do not. I personally don't believe animals experience the love that humans can experience with each other. But I want to make a point real quick.
That's that's the thing. You personally don't believe science apparently because uh, scientifically speaking, they do have the same range of emotions as us. There is no reason for us to believe that our range of emotions are different. Emotions have have either a positive valence or a negative valence. Emotions, they do feel love. If you've ever had a pet, you have felt love from them. And if you don't realize that, then it's kind of sad because most people on this planet would say the unconditional love that you have from a dog or a pet is uncomparable to what a human being would give you, because most of the time a human being would give you conditional love. So I would say that they definitely feel love. They definitely feel all that. And you taking again all that away from them, you taking their whole existence, you they put their trust in the farmers, they put their trust in the humans that take care of them, and you paying for that trust to be shat on, essentially to be cleared away, to be destructed, all for a sandwich, is insane to me.
Well, I have a question. What is the difference between a cheetah killing a baby
Again, that's
zebra?
no. Hold on.
No, no,
Okay.
let
No,
me make this point real quick.
Orlando. We have been going around in circles, and basically, what you keep bringing it back to is might equals right. And you're saying I don't know for sure if
Right,
animals
their
can
moral
experience.
sentience,
No,
their
you're
experiences,
saying
da
I
da
don't
da.
know
But
for
what I'm
sure.
saying, but you don't
Hold
let me
on, you're
finish my
saying I
point.
don't know for sure if our fellow animals can experience the same emotions that we can. If you've ever been around a dog, like the chip guy said, if you have ever been around a dog, if you have ever had a companion animal, an animal companion, someone who loved you unconditionally, then you would know how much they love you. Have you ever had a dog or a cat? Have you ever been around a dog or a cat? You're muted, Orlando. I don't know if you know that.
My bad. All right. Anyways, if we're basing
No. Can you answer my question? Answer my question. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I'm about to. Wait, say that one more time.
Okay,
Because I was about. I think I was about to.
what
But
what I was saying is that you're saying that you get to do might equals right, basically, and you're saying that because you have the ability to, because humans are stronger, more intelligent, whatever, then we get to dominate other beings, and you're denying that other beings can feel just as much as we can. And if you've ever been around a dog, if you've ever had a companion animal, then you would understand that they do feel very strongly. They have anxiety, they have love, they have all different sorts of emotions. And I want to ask very clearly, have you ever had a dog or a cat or been around one before?
oh yeah, that's why I said that when I was muted. Yeah, I have 2 dogs that
You have,
I can.
okay, so you have 2 dogs. Do you think that those 2 dogs love you unconditionally?
I believe that they feel love towards me, but I think when the food and the shelter's gone, I do think that our
We're not
relationship will
talking
be on
about
a
food and
strain.
shelter, all that. We're not
Well,
talking about that. So you think that they have love towards you. They love you. Are you telling me that, what's your dog's names?
Hmm?
What are your dog's names?
uh, it's hold up. So the one it's Italian names. It's Fezziwig, and then the other one's Bruno.
Fezziwig and Bruno?
Yes, they're
Okay, that's
dogs.
cute.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so you know that they both have their own individual personalities,
Yeah,
right?
they
They're
have
very
individual
different from each
personalities.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they both have different wants and needs. They probably have a favorite toy. Maybe one likes a certain food more than the other one. They have preferences, right?
Hmm.
And they probably really love your company, and they probably really want to spend all their time with you. If they had a choice, I imagine they would want to be with you 24/7.
Right.
So what kind of love is that?
No, I think that dogs can definitely experience unconditional love.
Yeah,
That's
and
that.
we're saying that all these other animals can experience emotions as well, and that they deserve moral consideration, and that doesn't give us the right to take away their life. It doesn't give us the right to violate their wants. It doesn't take, like, we don't have the right to exploit them.
Well, I think my claim would be as well that my dogs would. I mean, they love me now, right? But they would never have initially had that bond of love. I think without the necessities that I provided them. I think we are confusing a lot of animals, quote unquote,
No
love
one
for
just
us.
falling in love at first sight is a myth. So
I
everyone has to build up a relationship in order to have love.
Right, of course,
Yeah,
Okay.
but
yeah,
my relationship.
all
What?
that you're providing with them, when you're providing this with them, you're essentially communicating to them that you can trust me. That's how you build this relationship with them. It's still a communication method. It's not like they stay with you because of the food. I
Hmm.
have had a dog. I have been away from my dog where I have not fed them for years. Unfortunately, I had a situation where my dog, I had to give them away for 2 years. And when I was back, they remembered me and they were still super happy to see me. It's not like I was back with food or something. They clearly had a memory and an emotion towards me.
Right, but then explain to me the hundreds of cases where the owner dies in the house and the dog and or cat eats the body of the dead owner. Why does that happen?
Yeah, well, it's a situation that the same situation that the people who crashed in the Andes suffered, right? The people who crashed their plane in the Andes had to cannibalize to eat other humans to survive. That
So you
doesn't
think
mean that
that
those people
situation, that
hated
I guess
them.
that's the point I'm trying. You think that situation is okay for a human to do that?
In a situation where you have to survive, I think it is justified, but that is not a day-to-day situation. Just like if they ate humans in order to survive in that one horrific accident, that does not give them justification to go out every single day and start killing humans or eating dead humans.
Right, but I would say for the human, we hold them to a standard that's like, hey, the moral thing in that situation, it's a hard situation, I'm not going to fault them. But the moral thing to do in that situation would have been to starve instead of eating another human with life. With the animal, when
Then
they're,
why, based on that logic, why are you consuming our fellow animals when you don't have to?
well, because I don't have and they don't have true unconditional love with us.
Hold on. No. Are you in a survival situation?
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. Can you eat plant foods and live just fine? Can you choose?
I could, but I
Can
want
you
the
choose? Can you choose a cleaning product that doesn't rely on animal testing?
well,
Can you choose to not wear wool? Can you choose to do these things, or is your survival dependent on it?
well, I want to hit those things one by one.
No,
One,
I just want to guess
well,
or
I'm
no.
answering your
Really.
question one by one because you
I
should.
kind of just want to yes or no.
Hold up. Yes, my answer is wait. My answer is I can do all those things and still be a moral person, and I want to answer those one by one.
No. So all of them. No. My question was, can you survive not doing those things? Like, can you survive not?
I
exploiting
can
animals?
physically survive, yes, but I would like to
Yes. So
address
then
every
you are
single thing you just
choosing
threw at me.
to exploit. You are choosing to exploit. You're saying might equals
Can
right. I
you
can, so I will.
survive? Can you
I'm
wait?
morally
Question:
superior, so therefore
could
I
you
will.
survive in a shack with no clothes and someone just brings you a plate of food every day? There's a safe environment, but you're living in a shack. You have no clothes.
No.
And brought
Okay.
food. No,
I'm.
but you choose to live in an environment that is better for your well-being.
You're making all sorts of excuses, and you
I'm not
yourself
making excuses. I'm addressing what you said. You
just
choose to live in an
admitted
environment that's better
you
for
are
your.
you are not in a survival situation. You do not need. You don't live in a shack where you have to, I don't know, do whatever in order to survive. Okay, you're not in a survival situation. You said yourself that you are choosing to use animals when you don't have to. Okay? And we're saying that that's wrong. And by your logic of humans having that moral understanding, then you should agree that's wrong as well.
Let me make the claim I was trying to make. I eat meat, I eat protein because there's hundreds of studies that says that for developing muscles, you need about a gram of protein per body.
No, dude.
Let me
You can
address
get
the dang
protein
thing
from a
she's. Let me.
plant-based
You
diet.
can
I'm
listen.
a
You can
certified
argue with me
nutritionist.
after I'm done addressing her individual statements, bro.
If you're gonna make anti-scientific claims, I am gonna come and interrupt you. You cannot make pseudoscientific claims because there's people listening. Some people are listening for 10 seconds. When they hear this nonsense, I have to fight back. I am 100% against pseudoscience. When you say that you eat meat, you eat protein, you are making this claim that you can only get protein from meat. That is not true. Why not say I eat the flesh of sentient beings because I only believe that I can get protein from that, but you can get protein from other sources. It's just that I refuse to believe that those are valid sources. If you want to formulate it that way, I won't interrupt you, but formulate it in a correct way because you can definitely get all the nutrition you need from a plant-based diet. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, by the way.
You're good. How much protein do you personally eat in a day?
Oh, brother, you're not asking the right person. You're not going to win this one because yesterday I had 250 grams of protein.
From what?
From my diet. What do you mean from what? From several sources.
Yeah, but like from what sources?
Do I need to? Oh my God. Okay, let me open the app and explain to you exactly what I eat. So, for example, today,
I'm just saying.
We need a what Chip eats in a day, I guess.
yeah, today I had 200 grams of protein. My main meals today was actually one that I made 2 portions, and I had it both for lunch and dinner, and it comprised of tofu. What was it? Brussels sprouts, some beets, some kimchi, and
Right.
some beans. So there you go. It's pretty.
Okay.
That alone provided with 40 grams of that meal alone had 430 calories, if I'm not mistaken, and
40 grams of
40
protein.
grams. Yeah, 40
And
grams of
I
protein.
agree with you. You can live sustainably. You could live sustainably on veggies, but it is much more convenient and much easier to hit your protein goals. This is specifically for me, and to get those from animals. And the reason I'm saying that is because do we technically need to know? But because I believe we are morally superior, we are able to enrich our lives with things like eating meat, with things like getting wool, because if you do it in a sustainable way that's not hurting the animal, we are morally higher,
It's
so we are
always
able to
hurting
do
the
things to enrich our
animal.
lives.
What do you mean you're killing the animal? You're always hurting the animal. What do you mean you're not
If
hurting the
I,
animal?
right,
What
because this is
kind
the
of
claim
what
I'm
kind of
making. I'm not saying, hey, let's go and put chickens in 4x4 cages. I'm saying you can put them. I'm all for
Okay.
sustainable.
Let's talk chickens. Let's talk chickens. Chickens
Sure,
can live up to 10 years.
that's
At what
awesome.
age do you think chickens are killed at?
3.
No, 42 days. 42 days. And believe it or not, now animal agriculture, they're starting to grow bugs, which are other sentient beings. They're starting to grow them so that they can feed the chickens so that they kill them even sooner.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that as long as they're living
You're
in an
you're
environment.
fine with killing babies. You're
Let
fine
me
with
make
killing
the claim real
babies.
quick. As long as they're living in an environment that is safe for them and.
Wow.
We're just gonna go back into the loop of welfare. He cannot get his head out of there. He just thinks
Wow.
if he treats his slaves well, it's okay for him to have slaves. That's all he keeps saying.
Might equals
Yeah.
right that humans are morally superior. We can understand morals, and that makes it somehow okay for us to harm others and to disrespect them at the most basic level. What?
But
That's
he
crazy.
couldn't understand morals as well as we can, so that means we should be able to oppress him, right?
Exactly. I guess meat's back on the menu.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding. No, I know he's a
No.
sentient feeling being. I would never do that to someone. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's not about who your parents are. It's not about who's in your group. It's about your capacity to experience. And the fact that we, make preferences. That means we can suffer. There's no if it's,
Right.
and I'm sure most people agree, if we can avoid causing someone unnecessary harm, that we should. And knowing that we don't need to use animals makes using them regardless or continuing to use them abusive. We're forcing someone to exist just for our benefit. That's not fair. Anyway, I want to say hello also. So I've got Freesia up here. Lovely, lovely Freesia. I'm so honored to have you up here. And then we also have that Chip guy, which I'm always loving your videos. I'm always learning something. And yeah, I don't know. I think you're not only helping other people go vegan, but you're helping other vegans become stronger activists. Like even on my street outreach, one of my activists has got one of your posters now, and now we have your folder, or actually it's Alexandria's folder, but it was inspired because we saw you using Alexandria's tools. So
Heck yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, they're awesome. I love that booklet and those, and we have a poster as well. And then we've got Lori Light, always my backup. She's got 25 years of vegan experience under her belt. Yeah,
Yes, I do.
yes, awesome
you.
It's
panel.
impressive, Laurie.
Yeah.
25 years. Wow.
Yes. I never really ate meat as a child, and I just kind of after a while, put two and two together and just, said, hey, this is ridiculous, and it's not worth. Because I love animals so much. I mean, I'd love to have a sanctuary, like a lot of people say, but I love them so much. I've had so many different kind of animals throughout my life that I can just see personalities in every single one of them and choices in every single one of them. And they are from domestic to barn animals, to ones people eat. So I would have put it to the gentleman that was up earlier that just kept going around. I would have put him in a situation where he said he would have rather starved than eaten a human body that was already gone. I would have put the test to him and said, right, okay, well, why don't we put you in a survival situation in the snow, up in the Rockies or up in the, where they were at, and see how long you're willing to go without participating in eating a human.
I mean,
if you have to.
or an example of his loved ones, you know, because some people are a lot more reckless speaking about their own autonomy. But if you talk about someone they care about, they're typically going to be like, oh, you know, I would want my loved one to survive such an atrocity. You know, I want to still see them after that and be there to help
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Yeah, I would want them to try to survive. Yeah, yeah. That's crazy to say that someone should unalive themselves instead of trying to survive because they might have to. They didn't even take the life of a human. The people they consumed were already gone. That's that's a crazy opinion to have. All right. Should we bring up another victim? I don't know if everyone's ready.
Don't call them victims. Don't call them victims.
Don't call them victims. That's fair.
They already victimized themselves. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Yes, I say it teasingly, but you're right. It kind of also is like encouraging them. All right, let's bring up Sleepy Steve. You got to be over 18.
Hello.
Hi. Are you over 18?
Yeah, 35.
Okay. So what morally justifies you not being vegan?
There's nothing morally wrong with it. I mean, if I kill a raccoon, I eat it. If I kill a possum, I eat it. If I kill a deer, I eat it.
Do you understand that they can feel pain?
So do all the animals that get killed in the tofu farms, because those beans that grow, they kill every shrew.
I've never seen a tofu farm. Do they grow the tofu?
The bean that they grow.
Yeah,
but
soybeans.
Those farms that they grow those beans, they kill every shrew. They kill every mole.
Okay.
The birds.
Wait. What bean is that? What bean is that? What bean is it? You said they kill. You seem to know about it. So what bean? What bean is it that they grow and this happens?
Oh, well, I'm not Asian and I don't eat it, so I have no clue what.
So wait, so how would you know then? Because it seems like you have incomplete. It seems like you have incomplete knowledge there.
You know who Ted Nugent is?
Oh, so you listened to one conversation once, instead of actually looking up if what they said is true or not, you just believed it.
There was another doctor that came on after him that actually gave the numbers of how many birds died, how many fish died from.
And how many birds are there? How many birds died? Tell me. In the production of tofu, since because we don't know what bean that is.
Of thousands, the fish were in the millions, along with the shrews and the moles. It was about 1.3 million.
Wait, but that's perfect. Do you know how many? Do you know how many? Do you know how many chickens we kill?
Those animals.
Do you know how many chickens we kill?
Do you know how many chickens we kill worldwide? You're not. You're just killing them.
Do you know how many chickens? Do you know how many chickens we kill worldwide? Because we kill tens of billions. If you said they were just a couple 100,000, that means that we're still doing better than you, right? But anyway, like I'm just like making fun a little bit of you now. I think the whole argument that you're making, maybe if you found out that every single animal that is killed in crop production suffers the same fate in crop production for animal feed, because most of the crops that we grow for food, we grow for animal feed.
Yeah.
So if you, so wait, so yes, so
in a feed warehouse.
So if you know that most of the crops that we grow for the animals, then you know that most of these killings that you mentioned are are way more in the case of animal agriculture, correct?
But we eat the animals we kill.
Yeah, so that's exactly it, right? So on top of the animals that are exploited and slaughtered for you, there's also all of these hundreds of thousands, as you said, small animals that are killed for you. So you are obviously creating considerably more harm for the crop production, and you are treating animals like objects in animal agriculture. We oppose the idea that animals should be treated like objects. Why do you think it's okay to treat animals like objects?
I'm not treating them as an object if I'm eating them. I eat everything I kill. I raise my chickens. I don't buy store-bought chickens.
Tell me something. Wait a minute. What do you mean you don't treat them like objects? Do you even care about their personalities, or do you only care about their bodies? how big their bodies get, if their bodies produce or not. Because it sounds to me like you only care about their bodies, not their personalities. And if I were to ask you who you are, I think
You gonna
you
ask the
wouldn't
person?
answer with, I
You
don't
gonna
think you
ask the
would answer
personality of
with,
every chicken I got?
so you don't know anything about them, correct?
You can talk to my chickens.
So you
You can
don't know
tell my
anything
chickens
about them.
unhappy.
But you don't know anything about them, it seems like, because I can tell you things about. But if I had a pet companion, I could know stuff about their personality. But you don't know anything about them, and you say you
I
don't
mean,
treat them like objects.
I know which ones get broody. You know, they want chicks, but usually take the
Yeah, you
eggs or
only care about
something.
their body.
So
You
usually I
only
bring
care
them some
about their
chicks.
body. Do you see them as more than just a body, than more than just a walking flesh for you?
Well, yeah, like I said, if I got one that's broody and she's not really laying eggs, I'll go buy chicks or whatever from the feed store, and I'll put them underneath her, and then she feels like she got babies. And usually they get happy by then. But when she gets nice and fat, I'm still gonna chop her head off and put her in a frying pan.
But you realize that all of it is optional, right? Like you don't need to do any of this to the animals, right?
It tastes way better than tofu does.
That does not
A
matter if it tastes way better.
piece of
Do you
fried
realize
chicken
that it
tastes
is
way better than
optional?
anything.
Do you realize that it is optional?
Yeah, everybody's got an option. You think I'm gonna go to hell just because I killed a chicken?
Oh no, I don't. So I don't base my morality based on the fear of hell. I base my morality based on respecting other individuals. Like, do you think that if you were to get to receive a go ahead from your God would say, hell, you can kill how many people you want, and you are not going to go to hell. Are you going to start killing people?
I did that for the military.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah, so you would kill people as far as I understand, right? Like that's the whole point about it. We respect humans, we respect individuals. I know it may be like a broad concept for you, but we respect individuals for who they are individually. That's it.
Say
That
I really don't like someone laughing at the fact that they had to take human life. That's pretty psychotic.
my thoughts exactly. Like that that's really yeah.
Yeah. That's not something you should brag about. That should be something that you're embarrassed of and ashamed of. You
I
shouldn't
can't
be.
imagine doing that and like having like laughing about it later.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's gross.
It's because of all of those tofu farms.
It does crack me up when they say tofu farms because it's like, how do they think tofu is made? Oh God. Yeah.
I wish that there was just a straight tofu plant.
Oh,
Oh
that'd be
my
cool.
god, I would have
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
I would pick that. Absolutely. I mean,
absolutely.
tofu is not really that hard to make either. You just blend it up and boil it and separate stuff, and yeah, it's pretty easy. But I'll just buy it. It's great. I know how to prepare it and I know how to season. The guy obviously just admitted he can't cook, which is hilarious. Like honestly, if you consume the flesh of chickens, you would be able to easily transition the same seasonings to tofu or whatever protein of choice you want. You know, the beans or tempeh or whatever. Anyway.
But to me, that whole thing about him not knowing which bean it was and saying, "Do you know who Ted Nugent is?" So he
Ah,
literally just heard one thing on a podcast and believed it without actually questioning it.
yeah.
So everybody listening, don't do that kind of stuff. Just question stuff, research. Don't just trust what it says on the internet, including what we say, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I do have
Be a critical
resources,
thinker.
but yeah, look up whatever it is we're talking about. I've said that before too. You know, I'm not here to like hold your hand. I'm here to give you kind of a PSA like, hey, these animals don't want to be used. You don't need to use them. I'm sure you agree that we shouldn't lock dogs in hot cars and we shouldn't kick animals, you know. So why continue to cause them the same unnecessary harm, just escalated, right? To the point where they lose family, friends, everything. Like everyone agrees. They just don't. They're all hung
Yeah.
up from this Ted Nugent thing and Pierce
Right. I was
Morgan
just gonna
and
say that. Please, you people out there who listen to rock and heavy metal like I do, Okay, don't listen to Ted Nugent because he does not know what he's talking about. He is not a doctor. He is a personality figure who is a has-been, basically, and he's been a has-been for years.
Yeah. Well, and I mean,
And even if you were a doctor, it
yeah,
doesn't matter because we're not appealing to authority. A doctor
exactly.
can make a fallacious statement. So don't just trust people. Look it up, whatever argument it is. If it sounds funny or if it's something that you've never known before, maybe look it up because maybe there's a reason you never knew this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think looking things up for yourself and educating yourself, that's what's gonna help make the connection the most, in my opinion.
For sure. Yep. Even when you hear Ted Nugget, talking about whatever, you should look up what he's quoting. What is he even talking about? Where is he getting his resources from? Or his information.
He gets it from his own brain and not researching his own stuff like everybody else.
I know it. It's silly. All right, I'm going to bring someone else up. We got, I don't know if I trust that name. Just a little grid. I thought I said jerk. Okay. Just a little off the grid. Come on up. Hey.
Hello, how are we doing?
Doing well. Are you over 18?
I am, yeah, I'm 40.
Cool, right on. So what morally justifies you not being vegan?
So I think the argument of morality itself is a construct. However, I have 40 acres of land. I live off grid, and we treat it as a sanctuary. I try not to eat meat. I try not to kill anything. That's just kind of how I roll. I'm a veteran. I've taken life, and it haunts me every day. So I'll just get that out there right now. What I want to know is, how do you guys feel about synthetically grown tissue?
I'm not against it as long as they don't have to use animals for the process. As far as I'm aware, they still have to use animals. But if they stop using animals, I am all for lab-grown flesh.
Cool. And then, crap, I forgot my other point. That one guy that was on there, Orlando, man, my goodness. Yeah, I'm not religious. I'm an atheist. But, I understand, I guess, because we have chickens, right? Mm-hmm. I let them free range. We do not eat them for meat, just eggs. And, I understand the concept of, technically we are making them subservient. But I guess, for me, my background, I'm a geophysicist. I work for an environmental engineering company. So I understand the implications of industrialized farming. And my whole take is if we really want to be Earth first, homegrown, having your own garden, making your own food, that is the only sustainable method forth. Because frankly,
do you know what veganism is? Because it's not for the environment.
No, it's just to not use animals in any way.
Right. It's just a perk that the environment. For me, it's the rights, the inherent rights of sentient beings. Then it's the climate.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Interesting. Yeah. I feel like that goes in hand, but that's just kind of my take.
I mean, it does. But if I have to choose between the two, I'm going to choose the rights of the sentient being.
That's fair.
In the event that, let's say, it was actually worse for the environment to not use animals, I would still advocate for veganism because those sentient beings still yearn to be free and they deserve full liberation.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
I would probably disagree with you there just because at the end of the day, I mean, if our Earth dies...
I would challenge you then, why don't we enslave humans?
We should not enslave humans.
But it could reduce greatly the impact that humans have on the Earth.
Well, with that argument, I agree with our population is unsustainable in general. And so
it would be okay to enslave some humans, right?
No, not at all. I just think people need to stop having kids.
Right, but we can't enforce that, right? Unless we start farming them, and then we can have full control.
No,
that's I agree with you, but tell me why would that be immoral?
Sorry, what would be immoral? Enslaving humans?
Yeah, enslaving humans to help the environment.
Oh man, that's a total ethical quandary. The way I look at this is if we do enough damage to this Earth, then we don't deserve to survive. Period.
So you do think it would be moral? So the point that I'm getting. Okay, good. I'm just trying to get to the point. Why is it immoral to enslave humans, even if it's good for the environment? Why is it still immoral to enslave humans?
Well, I mean, the problem with morality is, we constructed that entire concept. So, based on that, it is immoral because you do not want to do other harms to humans. It's
Yeah, but
treat others
why?
as you want to be treated.
But why? You're kind of begging the question. You're just repeating that it's wrong. You're not telling me why is it wrong to enslave humans to help the environment.
Well,
Could I offer you an answer?
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Is it because that we know that ourselves, we are having a subjective experience, that we want to be free because we have our own purpose?
There it is. Yep.
And we can see that in other humans, that they are also having a subjective experience. And we don't
Correct.
need to have a deep philosophical conversation with them. We just respect that they're having their own experience, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Right. And because
You said
we
that
know
better than I
that
could.
we want to avoid harm and we don't think it's fair to be unjustly harmed or used, we then
Boom.
we give that respect to others, right? So what I'm saying is animals have the same thing that we respect in each other. They're experiencing the world and they want to avoid harm and they want to just continue living. So
Yes.
so they're the same moral for the same reasons it's immoral to enslave and farm humans. It's also equally immoral to do to animals because they also want to live. They have their own purpose. They can feel pain. They want to avoid harm. They don't want to be used.
Correct. Yeah. No, I,
Okay.
I agree.
So
I look at
so let me tie it to your chickens. That's the way you understand, like in your day-to-day choices. Your
Correct.
chickens, well, first let me ask, do you breed your own chickens or do you get your chickens from somewhere?
So we actually had 2 chickens that we rescued, and then thankfully one of them was a male, and so we bred that, and then we try to go around to local farms where they kill them for meat and try to take them. So, because most of the times, like you said before, like they kill them within like a year,
I
and
mean,
so
your heart is, I can hear that you're at least going and trying to rescue those from a certain death, but you're still viewing them as a resource. So it's like you're almost there, but you're still exploiting them. Like you're rescuing them from exploitation just for you to exploit in a nicer way.
yeah, I guess I mean for us, like we don't. I mean, they're pets. They all have names. We have 15 of them, and my wife's got them written down because I don't remember the damn names. But
Yeah, I understand what you mean. You actually genuinely care for them.
yeah, I love my
But
chickens.
would you have brought them into your home and cared for them if they didn't ever produce eggs to begin with?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you would rescue animals even if they don't provide for you?
Yeah, we actually rescued a pig like 5 years ago for that exact reason. It just kind of hung out.
Okay, so what is it that, I guess, why is it that you think that the eggs are yours?
I mean, they're gonna lay them anyway, and since they're unfertilized, they either rot or you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, well, it's gonna lay it, might as well use them.
Do you feed them to the chickens at all?
Yeah, some of them we do.
Okay.
Like whenever there's like a what do they call it? Like when they're smaller, like deformed or something, we'll just like, hey, here you go.
Yeah, because it takes a lot out of their bodies to produce each egg. So
Agreed.
there are sanctuaries that don't use the chickens in any way, including their eggs, because they find it as like a disrespect to take from them, because it's like you're still viewing them as something to give to you. I would say that you're on the least harm of the spectrum, but you're still viewing them as a resource. I would follow up also if these chickens do pass away naturally, as you said, like they just pass away in the fields, are you going to replace them?
Probably not. Not like directly from breeding. 15 is way too much right now. I mean, we live at 7,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains of Montana, so like there are predators. So like we've kind of kicked ourselves in the ass for letting that happen because like we've drawn in some bears and some other stuff. I'm like, crap. So I think once they all go, we might try to find some place to take them. This is Montana, it's a ranch state. It's so hard to try to find sanctuaries up here. So
Yeah. I mean, like I would honestly urge you to reach out to Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. They might be
Okay.
able to actually help you out. It's just that you're still seeing chickens as resources. Like they're sentient beings. They don't want to be used. And I understand you're only getting the roosters that people are going to cull anyway, but you're also helping them because you're cleaning up after them. It's a tough situation though, because you are rescuing them. I get it. But like everything that you're doing to, like if you buy animals off of them, they're just going to replace that animal with another individual. So
I see that.
yeah, you're in I see your heart though. I just want to acknowledge I do see
Yeah,
the
no, it's
kindness
cool.
in your heart. But we're just trying
Yeah,
to
I
say
just-
like you should view them like a child. You don't adopt a child just because if a child had really long hair and just happened to keep growing really long hair, in their best interest, you could cut their hair, right, whatever style they want or whatever is healthy for them. But if you were to rely on them, that they just happen to grow this hair and you keep shaving it because you want the hair for your purposes, it becomes exploitation. Do you see
I
that line
see.
that I'm talking about? So that's why
Yeah.
I'm struggling to really respond to your situation, because yes, if there's just these random eggs, it's not really that immoral, but
I
it's just
guess
that you're still seeing them as a resource for you is all I'm trying to get at.
true. And I guess I started off kind of wrong. I kind of wanted to argue the nuance of the whole situation because, like, yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, I have no problem not using their eggs. Like, if that's the case, sweet, whatever. Like, I mainly eat plant-based to begin with as much as I can. I mean, I'm guilty of the occasional steak. I know. But,
Okay.
and I feel
Well,
bad for it, to be honest.
but see, that's what we're talking about. See, if you see chickens, even on a minimal scale, as an object for you, do you see how it kind of translates into other things where it's like, well, it's
Yeah,
okay once in a while with this. So what I would do is, it's maybe just you need to see all the process, all because sometimes those labels can make us think that at least the animal had this great life, and you should know at least what those standard practices are and what at minimum needs to happen for them to exist. With chickens specifically, I understand again you're rescuing them, but they came from the red jungle fowl. They only laid like 13 eggs a year, and we've
right.
made them mutate. But
Yeah,
I feel like I'm just telling you things you might already know. I really want you to respect them like they're a companion or a friend, not so much a resource.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I guess at the end of the day, like, with veganism in general, like, you guys aren't bad. I respect your takes on everything so far, and I think sometimes there can be like a false moral high ground towards people who may not just know any better, and it kind of steers people away from sort of accepting that.
Sure, I can
So
see that.
yeah, and so I guess that's where I'm at, where it's like, well, I understand the issue of like global environmentalism. I mean, I work in the
Yeah.
field, and so like that's where it's like, changing those people's minds to say, hey, look, dude, like, most feed is grown, or most crops are, feed. And it's like when we take that off, it eliminates that industrialized farming aspect. And then the same thing with like for instance, soy, like the soybeans produced for human consumption. Like this is why home-based farms need to be incentivized to produce your own food, because you're still contributing to, the industrialized farming problem, which is a global problem.
Yeah.
So
So,
Um,
oh, go ahead, please, Chip.
I was going to say one thing. It's very interesting because I agree with you with the environment thing. The reason why we a lot of the times don't bring the environment in the conversation is because of something you just said just now.
sure,
Because when it comes to the environment, if you eat a steak every once and again, it's not going to matter that much, right? Like we all admit it. At the end of the day, it's about how much you do overall. If you from time to time make a mistake, that's okay, right? The problem with when it comes to animals, though, from that perspective, is that when you do eat a steak, let's say, even if you do it once a year, once a month, or whatever, that individual that was oppressed for that steak, or the individual that will then be oppressed because you had that steak, because it's supply and demand, to them, it doesn't really matter because that you do it once or twice a week or or once a year. To them, it just matters that you chose that one time, right?
sure,
So that's why we usually try to focus on the animals more, because at the end of the day, by the way, we do we do to speak about the moral position of it, but we all want the same thing. We just want animals to be liberated. I don't think any of us care that much about if our morals align or not, right? We
sure,
just
sure.
want animals' rights to be respected at the end of the day. So that's why we talk about the morals per se.
Gotcha.
But you had an interesting case, by the way. I actually worked for an organization that would sell, not work, sorry. I don't know if I call it work, whatever. I worked with an organization, let's put it that way, that would sell the chickens to other people, the egg-laying chickens to other people. Um, and I've seen some horrific things, like not what the people would do, because they would do background checks on people, they would make sure of everything. But of the farmers who would who would give those chickens to us, like a farmer from a biological industry, from an organic industry, gave us once two chickens, and those two chickens essentially were going to get freedom for the first time, and he handed them to us in a way that broke their legs, so they had to be on a 2-week hiatus.
Oh my
They
goodness.
had to. Yeah, like they don't really care about the animals. That's the problem with all
Did
of
he do
this,
that on
right? Like,
purpose?
no, he just grabbed them by the legs,
Oh, I
and
see.
yeah, because that's how they hand them over, upside down, because it's the easiest
Oh,
to
right.
handle them.
God, that's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is because if you've had them, you know what I mean. And by the way, speaking of eating eggs, I've actually been debating that myself, and I think if you take the eggs for your interest, then it is immoral. This is the nuance. But if you take the eggs because it's in the best interest of the chickens, maybe if the eggs lay there, they rot or something, and you take them away.
Right.
Of course, instead of throwing them away, if you eat them, there's nothing wrong. There's no moral issue there. But if you take the eggs for your interest, and then it becomes an issue because, as vegan stoner lady said, that can always raise the next thing, right? Because you realize
Right.
that I'm looking after my interest. They don't really matter that much, and nothing happens. So let's see what can I do next or stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted. Yeah.
Honestly, like, I mean, if it's something, like, what if like I left, like, we have oh, I forgot the breed. Anyway, it's like the weird long-legged chicken or whatever, but it'll lay like 3 eggs at a time. And so if I left like 1 or 2 and then took 1, then like you guys would be cool with that. That way, it has like if it wants to eat it, it can.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's if you're taking the eggs for your interest,
I see.
I would still think you're doing something immoral. But I would not scold you out of any of this. It sounds to me like you do care about your chickens. I would
Absolutely.
more than anything say that you should not kill them. You should not see them like objects.
Not at all.
And yeah, and that sounds to me like you don't. But I would scold you on that steak eating though, because that's
Oh, okay.
definitely not a good thing.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so do you like seeing as you're so close to it, why not just make the final step and never consume an animal product, never put an animal in that position that you would not want to be in.
And I've tossed it about, honestly. Like I'll be honest, like I feel guilty every time I do because I understand where it comes from. I grew up hunting, and I haven't hunted since I got back from Iraq because I just cannot even fathom taking a life like that, especially something that's trying to survive, and I just come in and blast it. Like, what the hell, that's bullshit. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I'm maybe I just need to do it. So, and like, let me ask you this, like, in terms
That is
of
sometimes
protein,
what it takes. Is like just ripping it off like a Band-Aid, just going for it.
what are some good protein options? Because like that's my thing is like we're on a homestead, so I probably burn close to I don't even know 3,000-4,000 calories a day. So like
Same.
Oh, okay, cool.
Same.
Yeah, man.
I go to the gym almost every day. I do have a protein shake after the gym, but that's only normal. I do use vegan protein. I personally combine pea protein and brown rice myself, but you can just buy a combination. When I was in US, I would just buy it and combine, and I would do that shake with that.
Sure.
But every meal, I think if you want to have high protein stuff, soy chunks are your best bet,
Okay.
or soy curls. They're high in protein. They do require a bit more work, as in you need to hydrate them and then you cook them essentially.
Got
But you
it.
can do that. You can hydrate a lot of them at once, put it in the fridge, and have for the whole week, and then just cook it as you want during that week. And they taste just like meat. So they basically have they have no taste. You just have to season them or put them in whatever. But
Okay.
they're cheap. They're cheap. They're high in protein, and they help out a lot. Yeah.
Oh, I see what
Like
she's holding. Is that
vegan
11
stuff.
grams of
Yeah.
protein there? Nice. That works for me. Oh, okay. So I've seen those. Okay. Yeah.
They're so good. Soy curls are so good.
Well,
They're-
I'll tell you what, guys. You kind of convinced me. I'm kind of I joined this live. Like, I don't know, things to ponder. So I appreciate it.
Check out there's an app called Cronometer, and that's a really great app for tracking your nutrients. It tracks micro and macronutrients.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can put foods in there. It even has like a scanner, so you can just like scan the barcode of a food, and then it'll show you everything, and you can quickly add it to your diary or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a really great tool for
Cronometer.
learning how to eat. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
love
solid.
it too.
What I like to do with Cronometer is I'll use ChatGPT, the free one, and I'll ask it to make a meal plan either for the day or the week. And I'll say, like, I want so many grams of protein or something, or like if I want a specific need. And then I'll check those meals in the Cronometer because, chat can make mistakes. But that way,
Right.
it's a lot easier, You just have something come up with the meal. You can even say, I have these ingredients in my fridge right now, and it'll help you make something. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet.
If you want something even easier, looking up Vegan Dailey Dozen is just a checklist. It's easy checklist to make sure you get everything you need in a day. It's more of a whole food, plant-based diet, which is supposed to be, one of the healthier diets. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I eat a lot of junk food.
No,
That's
I mean,
my
I was going to
problem.
say, I'm not really here promoting, healthy or not. I prefer people to be healthy because they're going to have longevity and feel good. But you do you, just don't use animals. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I gotta go,
say,
but hey,
I'm really
pleasure
happy you
talking with
came
y'all.
up. Yeah, thank you. Please come back again and let us know, like, if you watch any of these or you go check out the Dailey
Yeah.
Dozen. Yeah, please keep us updated on what's going on with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
All right,
See you
take
later.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fantastic.
Awesome person.
Yeah. I really
I have to
appreciate
commend
honest
him.
people.
Yeah, for being semi-off grid and respecting animals to the point. I have to give him props for that. That he's at least thinking about it, and he did come from a military background, and he did unalive people at a certain time in his life, but he knows it's not right to be talking about that or making it sound like it was a great thing. So props to him, and good luck to him.
I really do appreciate him saying, that. So I also want to thank him for his service. I don't know what specifically, where he was deployed and whatnot, but, I appreciate him standing up for people because that's what they're told they're doing. And I'm sorry, there's a lot of things going on right now, actually, for the VA and stuff. So I don't know if he's actually from America, but I'm feeling for our veterans right now. But yeah, I like that just an honest actor, Everyone.
He sounds like it since he's up in Colorado, and he sounds like he's from here. But
oh yeah, he did say that. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that things get better as far as especially the VA situation. But I'm glad that he was so open-minded. I hope that we hear from him again. All right, let's bring up. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the order, guys. We're just going to bring up the person on top. Josh. Just like you. That's right. Hey, Josh. Oh, I hear sound, but I don't see you're not in yet. We're short of money, and we know you're short of time, so we fight hard. Call Licht in Luxembourg at 917. Oh, Josh. It won't let me undo it either. That's weird. Okay. Maybe Josh, step out of the app and come back. Tough guy. Hey, are you over 18?
Hey, so
Are you over
yeah,
18? What year
yeah,
were
I
you
am.
born?
Well, year?
Yeah.
Going to 2000, I am 25 years old.
No. You are not 25. Oh, no, wait. I don't know about that. I don't like that. Cart. No? Dang. Maybe everyone left?
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
here we go. Sorry, what's your name? I can't read that text.
Kyle.
Kyle. I'm sorry, Kyle. Hey, what's up? Are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm born in 2005, April 25th.
Okay. All right. What morally justifies you not being vegan?
Well, first of all, plants are missing many nutrients humans need,
Like
like
what?
B12, vitamin D3, heme iron, zinc, omega-3,
So you can actually get everything
and
you need on a plant-based diet. B12 is easier
not
to
without.
get. Hold on. Yes, you can take a supplement. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you can look up the whole foods sources. There's like duckweed, mushrooms, tempeh. Some tofus are fortified. You can eat fortified foods, nutritional yeast. Vitamin D, you just go out into the sun, or you can take a supplement. Chip, help me out with some sources for him, I guess. I don't know.
Well, first
Well,
of all,
and I was just going to say what he gets out of eating an animal is already put into them. So they get all those vitamins from us that are injected into them, plus hormones and everything else. And it really is scary that you have a picture of Richard Ramirez on your, I don't know if you know who the dude is, but that's scary.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
that is.
if you guys go on ChatGPT and ask it if humans are biologically carnivores, it's gonna say yes, because we
no,
evolved
we
on
are not
we
biologically
all
carnivores. We are not
just
carnivores, we're omnivores.
ask it.
Doesn't matter, dude. Biology, we are omnivores. If we were carnivores, we could not digest plants.
Well,
I'm
that's
assuming you
just
have ate. I'm assuming you have eaten at least one plant throughout your life. So, and you digested it. So, I eat plants
you
every
can't
single
digest
day.
fiber. You can't digest fiber.
Depends on what you mean by digestion. If digestion to you only means what the stomach does, then no. But if digestion to you means the process from you ingest the food until it comes out as your poop, then fiber does play a role and it is part of your digestion.
Okay, but like, please be just ask ChatGPT if you're biologically carnivores, because
We're
like
not.
our stomach acidity is like very high, and
No, it
it's
is
like
not.
this.
Our stomach acidity is not that high, first of
No,
all. And second of all, why does it matter? Do you reject the scientific consensus that we can thrive on a plant-based diet?
yes, because you can't.
Okay, so what would convince you that we can thrive on a plant-based diet?
Nothing, because humans are
So
biologically carnivores.
nothing can convince you that you're wrong. What would you call a
Bro,
person? What would you call a person who has an opinion and cannot change their opinion even when shown empirical evidence against their opinion?
well, uh, now it like looks like that I'm not open-minded, and I have heard like
Azela.
vegan arguments, but you guys should watch this series on YouTube. It's about like how it shows like pictures of vegans, and that veganism is the epitome of malnutrition.
Brother, I look in the mirror. I am one of the biggest guys in the gym. I am lean, I am strong, and I am vegan. You tell me to look on YouTube about some bullshit propaganda
Yeah, but
for
please do,
people who
because
were incapable of maintaining a plant-based diet. Can I tell you why people become malnutrition on plant-based diets? Do you know why?
plants are missing over 15
No, it's
micronutrients.
not. No, that's not why. The reason why people become malnutritioned on a plant-based diet is because people don't eat enough on a plant-based diet. They usually lose weight. Is that not the case in the videos that they say that they lose weight, that they look thin?
Okay, but did you know that
Do you know why
about
they lose? Do you know why they lose weight? Why do they lose weight?
they eat less, I guess?
Yeah, they eat less calories. That's spot on. The reason why they eat less calories is because plant-based food has more volume, has more water, and satiates you faster because it has fiber, which helps with satiety. I'm sorry, it's a difficult word for me to say because English is not my main language. But that and people who go by, oh, I feel full, and they no longer eat, they will eat considerably less calories, they will lose weight, and after they feel like shit because they ate too little, they will blame the fact that the diet was a plant-based diet when in fact they did not eat what they needed to eat. So that's it.
Uh,
There's no magical thing there. I mean, I'm a certified nutritionist. There's empirical evidence out there. This isn't an opinion. You can thrive on a plant-based diet is uh, is backed by empirical evidence. We have meta-analysis, which are top of the pyramid of evidence. So essentially, if you don't trust the pyramid of evidence and top of the line evidence, then you could just might as well say that you don't trust science.
all right, but like, what about B12?
Yeah, sure. So B12, actually, do you know where B12 comes from?
It's an animal vitamin.
Yeah, no. So B12 actually comes from two sources. There's either a bacteria on the ground or from cobalamin, which is a material that was in the ground. But because of our massive farming, we fucked up the ground. Oh, I'm sorry. We messed the ground, and there's no longer any of those on the ground. So what is happening is these days. It is recommended by all the largest farming organizations on the planet that you supplement your animals with B12 so that the people eventually get the B12 themselves. They don't supplement B12 for the animals for the sake of animals because they kill them way before they would have any issues with B12. They do it for the sake of the humans who eat the animal products. And I can tell you that as a personal anecdote, I had a B12 deficiency when I wasn't even vegan. So it doesn't. I would say B12 is one of those things which you will see you're young, that in about 10, maybe 20 years, either all foods will be fortified with B12 or everybody on Earth will take it as a vitamin.
Okay, but you know when you said like human stomachs aren't that acidic, but that's just not factual.
It doesn't matter. They are acidic, but they aren't as acidic as others, first of all. And second, it doesn't really matter because yet again, we can digest plants, we can digest animal products.
Wait. But like in nature, there's very few omnivores, and they're like evolution like favors either being eating a full
Who cares?
herbivore diet or a
Who
full
cares?
carnivore
Who cares
diet.
what happen? Who cares what happens in nature? We know,
That's
we have
important because
empirical
like
evidence.
we
It's not
humans,
important. It's not.
of course, it's
We have
important.
empirical evidence. Nope. We have empirical evidence that we can thrive on a plant-based diet. You know for a fact that you can digest plants. You know that.
Okay, but
Every
can we
single
just
human being can digest plants. Why does it matter if our stomach has the acidity capable of digesting animal products or not? It doesn't matter. Sure,
well,
it does.
we should look at what humans evolved on.
Why? Why does
Because
that matter?
clearly, if humans ate a certain diet for thousands of years, then we evolved to eat that, just like how
Wait a minute,
cows
but weren't
cows.
humans dying considerably sooner in the past? Wasn't the life
That's
expectancy
disease. That's
monumentally lower?
disease.
Yeah, it was from
That
disease, but do you know what the number one killer for humans is?
heart disease,
Heart disease, exactly. And what causes heart disease?
seed oils.
No. Oh, brother. Seed oils do not cause heart disease. What
Yeah,
causes
yeah.
heart
Of course they
disease
do.
is high level of cholesterol and saturated fat. That's what causes heart disease.
No, but after the
Do you
standard
know? Do you?
American, but listen. After the standard American got told that saturated fat and cholesterol is bad for you, and they started like eating a lot of Cheetos, they're like fat, like people gained a lot of fat. And if you look at like beach videos of people from America 100 years ago, they used to be a lot leaner and they looked a lot healthier. And now
Do you know what
there's
Applebee
an
is? Do
obesity
you
problem.
do you know what Applebee is?
No.
So Applebee is the absolute direct indicator if you're going to have heart disease or not. Applebee is essentially saying how many not fat cells, but how many fat transporting cells. I'm just trying to simplify it here. How many fat transporting cells you have in your body. The more you have, the more chances of heart disease you have. Um, if your ApoB is usually correlated with high LDL-C. LDL-C is the cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, the ones that you can also get, by the way, from animal products, the one that your body naturally produces. When you're going to eat cholesterol yourself, your body will try to produce less. But if you consistently eat cholesterol yourself, your body will consistently produce less, and once you stop, it will try to produce even more. So you end up in these situations where your body will produce more, like Eating cholesterol is not something that is good for you. Let me just simplify it that way, okay?
No, it is.
So,
That's not true.
well,
Every cell in your
I know,
body,
but
every cell in
trust
your
me.
body
Listen,
needs
listen.
cholesterol to
It,
function.
yes, but your body produces cholesterol. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
So why would you need to ingest more cholesterol, knowing that high LDL-C is correlated with high ApoB, which is correlated with increased
Okay, but
chance of heart
that's all
disease?
what's it called? Correlations, like
Yeah, but all of these complex systems can only be with
yeah,
correlation
okay,
because we cannot prove causation in such a complex system.
okay, but all these like studies that you
It
probably
doesn't
have
really
read,
matter, man. Like, yet
but
again, it
just
doesn't
listen.
really matter. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we have empirical evidence that all-cause
Okay,
mortality is lowered, that you can thrive on a plant-based diet, that you can be healthy, that you can get every nutrient that you need, that your body needs. All of this discussion is just irrelevant because we have empirical evidence, top of the line meta-analysis showing that you can thrive on a plant-based diet.
well, that's just not true. The human body is like much
It's
more
not
complex
true.
than
It's not true
people
that we have
understand.
empirical evidence. It's not true that we have empirical evidence for this.
Do you really think the people, the government funded studies want you to be healthy?
Which government? Because I live in the Netherlands and I read the studies that are
Oh,
funded by
that's
the
actually
that are funded by the what do you call it? Denmark. There's a Danish study that is a really good one. There's a Swedish study that's a good one, and there's also a Dutch study that's a good one. So which government do you mean?
well, it's interesting that you live in the Netherlands because do you know why Ned people from the Netherlands are so tall? They
Yes,
drank
because
so
of
much
genetic
milk.
selection. No, dude, it's genetic selection. Jesus Christ,
No,
dude.
it's
Do you
milk.
seriously, dude? People in the Netherlands live so long. It's called genetic selection. Let me explain to you. The people who
What did
are
I walk
tall,
into?
the people who are tall have a higher chance of reproducing because they get more females. The men who are tall, the women who are tall have a higher chance of reproducing because they also get more partners. That's how it works here. It's genetic selection, and hence the tall people reproduce. Hence, the more people are tall. You don't have to trust me on this one. I understand you read some of these things online, like you read that seed oils are bad, but saturated fat is good. All of this bullshit, man, it's bullshit. Do not trust this. You are looking at this from influencers that are trying to sell you things. Okay, we're not trying to sell you
Well,
anything. Look it up yourself. Don't just trust it. I can send you meta-analysis if you want to
I
start with there, and you can look it up yourself, but don't just trust
I
influencers.
have a
have
resource
you
right
have
here, nutritionfacts.org. They have all the studies about what it means for something that we use to be healthy. They're a great resource.
so wait, you said you denied like it's important what our ancestor ate, what our ancestors ate.
Yeah,
It's
because
irrelevant, yes.
what we're here talking about are the ethics. We're not talking about a diet. We already
Well,
have the science
ethics.
settled that you can thrive on a plant-based diet. That's not what we're arguing. What we're talking about is that
Okay,
someone is being enslaved, having their rights violated, their bodily autonomy violated, their families ripped apart, and them ultimately losing their life.
okay, but in the end of like this argument, like you guys just say studies, and of course I can't read them right
You're not
now.
hearing me.
So
I'm talking.
can
Do
we?
you
Yes,
need a
yes.
step?
I pasted them in the chat. Look at this one. Do you see this PMID? Just Google what I sent 3 times already. This is the
Sure,
meta-analysis that I talked
Yeah.
about.
sure, I will.
Also, if you want to go by what our ancestors actually ate, there's so much evidence showing that our ancestors really didn't eat that much meat. They mostly ate starches, they gathered. Like it was difficult to catch animals without weapons. I mean, they had weapons, obviously, but the weapons were like pretty primitive. So, like, they really weren't eating that much meat. When we evaluate their teeth and their bones, we can tell.
Um, I can't really. There's like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like,
You're
we
supposed to say
humans.
that you were wrong.
Come on. Can 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 we just move
Are
on
you
to the
comfortable with
like?
being wrong? Because it's really hard to have a
Uh,
conversation if you're not willing to be wrong.
of course I am, but
Okay. So if
yeah,
you were wrong in some other situation, how would you respond to that? Would you say, "Oh, I'm wrong. I'll look into this"?
we'll look into it.
Yeah, you could check out our resources that we have up here, right? I pointed you to nutritionfacts.org. That's a website full of studies. They show you the reference to all the studies. Chip also listed studies in the chat. Would you be willing to go look at those resources and then come back to us?
Sure, but can we move on to
Well, yeah, because the whole point is we do know we can get everything we need on a plant-based diet. So what morally justifies using someone without their consent?
okay, let's just say wait. Let's just say that veganism like is malnutrition. Let's just say that.
Do you know what veganism is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I define it?
I can tell you, it is basically a principled stance against the exploitation of sentient beings. So it's not a diet. It just happens to be that we eat a plant-based diet. Does that make sense? Because we're not demanding animals be born into existence and used for us. So that's why we eat that way. You can eat however you wish. We're just saying don't use sentient beings.
So you think I'm wrong?
I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. I'm pointing out that animals feel pain and want to live and don't want to be used. And since we
Yeah, but
know
okay.
from science that we can thrive using plants, why are you not trying to do that?
You said I should look at your studies that said like you can
So
thrive on a
is
vegan
it just
diet.
purely because you think that you can't get everything on a plant-based diet? Is that really the only reason?
No, also like in nature, every animal values its own life over others. For example, deers run from wolves, and wolves hunt to survive.
Okay.
No animal sacrifices itself over another
And your
species
point
out of
is
more. Wait, let
valid
me talk.
because
Let me talk. Let
we
me talk. Let me talk. No animal sacrifices itself over another species out of moral principle. And since I think like
That's not true,
veganism
What's a
actually.
is
species? What's a
since
species? What's a species?
well, deer run from wolves because
What's
they
a
value their
species?
life.
What's a
I don't know.
species? What is it? So
How am I
why do
supposed
you
to
use a
define it?
word that you don't know?
Can you just listen? Like
No, I can't listen because you're using words you don't seem to know understand. You said species. Every animal values their species. What's a species? And
uh,
how should and you say you only value your species, then clearly you should know the delimitation and what is a species.
and wolves
since
don't have a choice. We have a choice.
well, prehistoric humans didn't.
Yeah, but we're talking about us. It's 2025, dude. We're not talking about what our ancestors had to do.
Well, we should because they were clearly healthy. They had perfect teeth.
No, they
Um,
didn't.
they
They didn't
did.
have perfect teeth. The teeth were the worst. What are you
They
talking
That's
literally
not
about,
true.
man?
died
They
from like gingivitis.
they 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 had the same teeth till they died. Like
Yeah,
just
and
look.
they were often rotten.
Okay, a lot can happen in 10,000 years.
Do you understand? Let me put it this way. Like what we're saying is the science is already settled. You can thrive using plants. All it takes is you doing a little bit of research to find out. You can ask chat. Hey
Okay, but
chat,
will you
can
will
I
you
wait
look
wait
at
wait 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 wait. You're just responding. You didn't even know what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Exactly.
to
So
look to ask ChatGPT it?
to ask chat what?
Uh, can you flourish on a vegan diet?
Right. So you could ask chat, can I flourish on a vegan diet? You can use
Okay, but
that
will you do the same
resource.
for my
No, you're not
arguments? Like,
listening. Yes, you can be healthy using animals. We're not arguing that. We're saying because we can be healthy eating plants, why are we abusing animals still?
will you search up like
No, no,
things
no.
I will say?
We're done here. You're clearly not listening. I'm sorry. You want me to really just look up if we can live off animals? That's how we started. That's how he's still saying.
Dude had the dumbest points ever. Oh my God.
I just, I lose my patience a little bit after we get to like 15 minutes and we're kind of going in circles. And I just, we recognize animals can suffer. We don't need to use them. And he's hung up on thinking he absolutely needs to use them. And it's like, Chip just went through evidence. He posted studies. We pointed to nutritionfacts.org. And he still couldn't even imagine, not using animals. Like, he just kept
Chip,
saying
my
it's
mind
not
is
true.
blown by how much facts you were spitting.
Yeah. He's a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry for throwing you out there, Chip, too. I'm sorry. I should have just handled him until you popped in. I threw you out there and I'm sorry about that. But thank you for
I mean, I think like from the beginning when we asked him what would convince you that you're wrong, he said nothing.
nothing.
We should have seen it as a sign that if nothing convinces you, that if nothing changes your mind,
Yeah, what do we
then what
do?
the hell? Like I'll tell you right here, right now, I can change my mind about veganism. If you show me that animals are not going to be exploited, and I don't have to be vegan, then okay, I'll change my mind. That's it.
Yeah.
I strictly don't want other animals to be exploited for me. It's simple.
I also just don't get romanticizing what fucking cavemen did. Like they lived these amazing, luxurious lives where they were
yeah.
so healthy, like so happy.
They only lived to be like in their 20s, maybe 30s.
Jesus.
Yeah, aren't we like the longest lived we've ever been right now? I mean, that says it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but seed oils.
I know.
Oh, yeah,
but
seed
seed
oils.
oils.
Yeah, those seed
Those will
oils,
kill you
man.
real quick.
Look out.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you don't even need to eat seed oils, which is even funnier. It's like you can eat whatever you want, man.
It's like, I'm not fat from eating seed oils. That's not why I'm
No.
fat. How dare you say that?
Exactly. I earned this by eating coconut oil, thank you.
But that's healthy because it's saturated fat, according to them. So,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I know. Actually, I really don't eat coconut oil because of the saturated fat. Also, a lot of coconuts are sourced from Thailand, and so I try to avoid that because they use monkeys often to pick the coconuts, I guess. So I'm not okay with that.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Lazy to climb the trees themselves or figure
Yeah.
out another way.
I know exactly. It's because
Yeah.
it's cheap and super quick and easy. They can manipulate someone more vulnerable to them to do the labor. That's just
Yeah, but
frustrating.
didn't you hear that having high LDL is actually good for you?
So it's worth it.
Blue Wolf, plants don't have a central nervous system. So they can be a quote unquote alive in some capacity, but they don't have a central nervous system like animals and people do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so the way that like plants are, they're just a bunch of little organisms that are doing the path of least resistance because they have a little code in them of what, they respond to. And their patterns happen to survive in their environment. So they just keep going. They don't have a want or a preference. They just, path of least resistance that their code allows them to because that code has survived so far. Whereas like we're not just responding to stimuli, we're, thinking about it. Do I prefer this or do I prefer that? Like we're all unique in that. And yeah, plants are not unique. I mean, there's unique plants, but they all like if one type of plant you do a test, they're gonna respond very similarly. Whereas like sentient beings all have a unique way of going about stuff. We may have some similar patterns, but there's still a lot of uniqueness going on in there. So I don't understand people in plant sentience.
Fish have brains, Blue Wolf.
Yes, there's actually studies that show that plants, oh my gosh, I'm hooked on plants. Fish have the nerve endings called nociceptors, which are similar to what we have in our skin, the nerves that tell us when we're experiencing extreme pain. So we know that fish suffer. And if anything, they're probably suffering more because animals are more in the present, right? We get lost in thinking about thoughts, and we can distract ourselves from hard times and, whatever, but animals are more often in the present, whatever's going on. They still have memories and look forward to things, but, I think they're more vulnerable and probably suffer more expressively than us, or more intensely, I mean. Sorry, I rambled there for a minute. Too marvelous for words. Hey. Oh, you're muted. Are you over 18? Hello?
Hey, sorry. Just
Hey.
give me a second.
Okay. Just when you're ready, let us know if you're over 18.
Oh, I was just coming up onto the panel.
Oh!
I'm
Are
35.
you vegan? Are you vegan?
No.
Oh, okay.
I am not vegan.
Okay. Yeah, so you're, okay. So what morally justifies not being vegan?
So I'm working on sourcing my food. I have a learning disability, and so there's issues with me eating. But that's just the food aspect, but I do have like some sort of things I'm working out on different ethics, if that makes sense, with myself. So
Do you mean like other aspects of your life? Like buying products that are cruelty free, or avoiding?
No, I do dog stuff. And there's some things that do not line up to with the veganism like ethics, if that makes sense, that
Okay.
I'm in. If that makes sense.
Let's start with, tell me what you think veganism is.
It's to reduce the exploitation of animals in general.
Not to reduce, but to principally stand up against, or to not support. So as far as practicable and possible, we avoid demanding animal use. Okay.
Yes.
So
because you're not going to get rid of it completely, but the less you do, the better. If that
it's more like I can only
I'm
control. It's more about I can only control my actions, and I principally don't want to support exploiting someone, using someone without their consent. That's what veganism is.
Right.
Okay. So what is it these dogs then? Go ahead and tell me about it.
Sorry. I find like the whole chat's interesting because I went on like one vegan post and I came to say that I thought that they were like radical thinkers, that it was just insane. But I was able to listen to a lot, and I had like a good conversation with somebody that was there, and they convinced me to consider like a plant-based diet, and gave me like information to seek out that diet.
Mm-hmm.
But I had conflicting issues with some chat members there, and I know that a couple of people on this panel too, like Lori. Obviously, we've talked 100 times, so I just come in and kind of like poke at it a little bit, and I mean it can't hurt. And it's also very interesting because I find like the people who are opposing you, like the people who have a different mindset, are very interesting to me. Like they're very entertaining to see somebody who, like the last person you had up, it was very entertaining. I have autism and a learning disability, and I always considered myself stupid. Like people all the time grew up and said, you're going to be too dumb to get a house, you're going to be too dumb to drive, all this stuff. So like for me to hear this coming from the common person makes me wonder, maybe I'm not that dumb. Put it in simple terms. Maybe I'm not that dumb, because I can have a concept brought to me and agree and disagree when information is given to me. And I can also process things and learn and try to change things that are routine in my life.
Can I ask you something? Where do you think we disagree?
So I do dog shows, and I had spoken to a panel of vegans that said you absolutely should not consider yourself a vegan because you do things that could exploit dogs, like could support the exploitation of dogs, if that makes sense. Something that's associated. There are different types of dog sports. I'm into animal behavior and sports. And some of them I can say, as a person who's neutral minded with autism, and I just can think outside the box, and you can tell me, hey, this is completely wrong and here's why, and I'll just take it because it's truthful, right?
Why do you do that?
I have seen the exploitation in some of the community. I myself have seen things where that is just 100% understandable in a point, you know what I'm saying? But I've also seen the opposite. I've seen like people who are on plant-based diets that do participate in sports to get their dog feeling enriched, and feel like they've done a lot through the day and they feel like their needs are met. So it's kind of like a borderline. Does that make sense?
But okay, but why do you participate in dog shows?
For me, and me only. I cannot say why other people do it because I'm not them. I do it because the accessibility and the ability to meet my dog's mental and physical needs easily, if that makes sense. When I have high drive animals like my border collie, he enjoys a lot of stimulation mentally and physically. He has needs that need to be met. And it's easier for me to meet these needs in this environment, if that makes sense.
But you can do that without the competition, right? Like the competition aspect of it.
One could say, but if you breed a dog that has these types of needs, it can be more difficult to provide that. Does that make sense? They're breeding dogs that have excessive needs. Their drives are higher than they naturally should be, even more so than like a street dog or any other dog. These needs are going to be easier met if you participate in a sport. If you have a dog that likes to chase things and you do like fast cat with them, they leave that fast cat feeling fulfilled.
Yeah. Do you think it's okay to breed them? Why are we breeding them?
I'm not a breeder, so this is the thing that I was saying. Morally, like,
but
there's
are you
a
for
mumble
or
jumble
against
on
it? How do you feel
Huh?
about it? Are you for or against it? I understand you're not one, but how do you feel about breeding animals?
I mean,
for your own benefit.
I can't think of like for my own benefit. I don't know. Like, I just never really had much association with breeding. I've never been into breeding. I mean, I'm knowledgeable on genetics a little bit.
You get your dogs?
I can tell you. Huh?
Where did you get your dogs?
I got my border collie from a friend that had been considering giving. So I'm just trying to break it down to like to make it more thorough of a conversation. I met a friend and she said, we're going to hang out. And they said, I have a puppy. I can't get it at home. I said, no. And then they met again and said, the puppy's older. They tricked me into meeting the puppy again the third time. And she said, I desperately need to find a home that's going to fulfill this puppy because this puppy is a lot higher drive than the litter mates. And I just don't know where this puppy's going to go. And I know you're going to consider its needs better. And I said, you know what? I'll just take the puppy. And took the puppy. That makes sense.
So let me simplify it for you, because I feel like we went from one thing to another, from that thing to another, from that thing to another, and let's simplify all of this. We think if you are going to have a relationship with an animal, that you should look after their interest at any point in time. When you are doing an action because you have power over them, then you should be looking after their own interest. Do you agree?
Absolutely, yes. That is the main goal of having an animal in your life.
Okay.
Is to make sure that you can fulfill their life as much as possible.
Do you think that you're looking after the interests of farm animals when you are paying for them to be used as products?
Are you speaking to me like as in
Yes.
I have, or are you speaking to me as in asking about my moral opinion about it?
So do you still consume animal products?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so then do you think that according to your morality, you said that it is wrong to use animals or when you have a relationship with an animal to not look after their interests because we have power over them. So according to you, do you think that you are going against that whole thing when you buy animal products, knowing that all those animals are indeed in a position where humans have power over them and they are not looking at their interests, but rather at the interests of the human?
Yes, I do. 100%. But that does lead back to the fact that my care for myself can be difficult, if that makes sense. Like for eating protein sources, like if I were eating like meat and eating everything that I could eat, I've had nutritional deficiencies because I will eat like just chicken for like 7 weeks straight, and maybe the chicken's not cooked thoroughly, and I've been like hospitalized for eating raw chicken on many occasions. For me, it's best for someone to feed me or for me to get food that is pre-made, if that makes sense. But that is directly correlated to my disability, if that makes sense.
Okay, I understand, but how does that relate to the source of the food and the fact that behind those food animals are exploited or not? It sounds to me like you can have the same thing, the same issue with health or without health on a plant-based diet. You can continue being the same, either healthy or unhealthy, but on a plant-based
Right.
diet.
I mean, there's the point. I could not eat. So if I continue on this route, if I were to remove anything from my meals, it could be me not eating whatsoever. If that makes sense. If I tell my aide to no, I don't want chicken, and they say, well, we're eating chicken tonight. Well, you could just have rice tonight, and you can just have rice tomorrow, and you can just have rice. And why aren't you eating this meat? So like that comes down to that is
So you
something
don't
that is
have any
difficult in my
choice.
case. It's
So
not
you
an
don't have any
excuse,
choice.
but it is me explaining on why. No,
So
I
do you have
absolutely
any
have a
choice?
choice. It's just more difficult for me to obtain things in my life. Does that make sense?
I'm having difficulty understanding because it sounds to me like you say you have a choice, but then you're proposing as if you refuse to eat animal products, you will be malnourished. So that's not really a choice, is it? So if there's somebody who is
It is
taking
a
care of
choice. You
you,
always have a choice. You can choose to be malnourished, or you could choose to be like you always have a
it isn't
choice.
a
It's
real
just the
choice.
choice
Why
Let's
can't
say
if
you eat
it's
chicken alternatives?
Yeah,
I
could you
do.
just eat vegan chicken instead of chicken?
I do. I consume it when people pick it up for me, yes. I consume it as much as I can, if that makes sense.
Used on
So
your
we're,
help.
we're trying to be open-minded
Wait.
here.
So I need to be clear. Is this help just random people out of their own heart randomly helping you, or is this someone that is regularly helping you?
It's having a disability that's mental is difficult to explain to others
No.
because it's so
I don't need
unique
you
for
to
each
explain.
person.
I don't need you to explain your disability. I was more asking about. You keep mentioning that it's whoever brings you something and whatever they bring you, but you said you still have a choice. So I'm asking you, is this help when
Okay,
people? No, hold on. My question is, when people are feeding you, is this just random people giving you meals, or is this someone that's working for you to help you? What's the?
this could be even
Can you
like
answer?
my sister
Okay.
or
So it
other
is a
people.
random, it's just random people helping you.
So yeah, so
No one's
tonight
being
I'm gonna
paid
go
to
over
help
my
you.
friend's Judy's. I'm going to go over my friend Judy's house, and I haven't eaten in a day or two, so I'm very hungry, and I could go without
So
eating, like I could
could
just
you
not
tell
care for
them,
myself.
would it be possible that you tell them that you prefer to consume vegan products so that when they make meals, they can respect your principles and make vegan meals for you?
Yeah, but they don't. So that's the unfortunate thing, because not everybody has the same
It doesn't
mindset that
sound,
we're having
so
here.
do you think that
I
animals,
didn't get to say my say, and I just think it's very
okay,
rude because I allow
go
you to say
ahead.
your say. Not everybody is going to have an open mindset. If you see the last person that was on the panel, if I went to him and said, hey, I want to eat vegan and you're cooking me dinner, but you're not getting paid, do you think that he would laugh, or do you think that he
I
would
think they would respect
provide
you
for
if
what I
they
want?
care about you. My
I
family
wish that's
cares
how the
about me.
world would
When
be.
I go visit my family and they make us food, they make vegan food for us.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
My mother
as
does. She does as much as possible, but
so
not
so so,
everybody in my life does.
Maybe you
And
need
I'm
to
also
have
very poor, so that doesn't help.
maybe you need to have a serious conversation with Judy about respecting your principles, and maybe if she doesn't want to, she shouldn't be in your life.
Yeah, I mean, she
uh,
doesn't have to be in my life. She's just a random stranger that comes over and feeds me because I haven't eaten, or I'm going over a house to essentially get a meal. She does not
so
have to correlate with me or associate with me in any way. She does because she likes to make sure that I don't get hospitalized because I'm not eating, or that I'm not self-harming because of my depression or things like that, you know?
I
so
mean,
so
I get that. I get that.
I'm sorry by the way you're going to all of this. It sounds
Same.
like you're difficult. It does sound like you're having an eating disorder. I don't think it's at least I don't feel safe telling you what to do. It sounds like you're already in a difficult situation. But I do want to ask you this. Do you feel that if you can make this choice, because it sounds to me like you don't really have a choice, but if you do have a choice, do you think that it would be important for you to choose a plant-based diet?
Absolutely. Plant-based diet was not something that I considered even like ethically or morally a concern, if that makes sense. Like if I were to have, like, say, if magically one of you guys decided to send me food that was going to be plant-based and I could eat that or something. Let's say somebody close to me was vegan and decided to say, if you give me this amount of money, I will give you your meals. I would have 100%. That would be great. Excellent. That would make me very happy. Does that make sense? I would feel very happy.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But till that happens, I mean, even for eating, let's say, because I'm technically not vegan, even if I were to eat like meat, if somebody gave me an allergen, I'd eat it. I have eaten my own allergen because I've been hungry, if that makes sense. So it's not like a...
So
I'm really sorry you're going through this.
Yeah. So
it sounds like you're in a difficult position. I feel like if you already know what to do, I mean, do you have any advice for her vegan stoner lady? Because I don't know anything about US.
What I would say is look up, if you genuinely want to be vegan, I would look up vegan challenges because they provide you an environment of people that are also new to veganism. I don't know, because you have a disability, I would hope that you're in contact with some kind of a physician, right? Some kind of doctor.
So because I had a nutritional imbalance and I was hospitalized, like I was sick. Mm-hmm. And yes, I was eating meat as well, because a lot of people are not nutritionally aware of what they're eating in general. Like the general public doesn't know.
I'm just asking, what professionals are you interacting with?
I spoke to a nutritionalist and I spoke to a doctor, and they gave me essentially a chart, like they do with anybody with a disability, of how you could help yourself. Okay. This isn't always able to be utilized, if that makes sense.
I would say I would look up, or I would talk to a dietitian, really. If you can get in contact with a dietitian, that would be preferable. There are challenges that you can look up. Just type in vegan challenges that provide access to dietitians for free. And they can even help you find food in your area that fits your budget, so you don't necessarily need to rely on everyone else. But I also would like to put this out here because we understand necessity, okay? It's understandable for someone who's vegan to have to survive a harsh environment and possibly cross their principles to do so. And I would never hold that against anyone, okay? But what we're trying to say is, if you genuinely don't want to use animals, you would do your best, because you genuinely don't want to do it, to avoid demanding their exploitation. An idea that I would want to just propose to you, I don't know if you use like Facebook or any other kind of social, I mean, TikTok is another great one, but Facebook, what's nice is you can find groups in your area that are vegan, and you might be able to actually find people that are donating, or they have vegan potlucks, so you have access, and you can find more vegan community that could possibly be the ones that are stepping in and helping you, so that it's not so much pressure on these people that supposedly might not always respect your principles. So just try to keep eyes open for ideas on how you can, not be demanding someone's exploitation. That's all. Please go ahead.
I had spoken to one lovely vegan person that I'm hoping will get back to me soon, and hopefully will help me, almost like pre-freeze my diets. Now, she said she might. I had spoke to a lot of other people, just like I had did in the past, and consider myself non-vegan, not because of my diet. My diet is just like, that's something that's like off the conversation for me, if that makes sense. Because I already know what I would like to do, and I know why I'm held back. Does that make sense? Sure. It's kind of beating around it's beating the dead horse. It's not helping. It is understandable.
It is sort of, because I don't. So the issue is, some people take these loopholes, these moments of desperation, they take that as like a crutch, and they use that forever instead of looking for an alternative. So yes, I understand right now you might be in a state of necessity to use animals, but you should be, if you genuinely don't want to use animals, that should bother you. That should weigh on you. You should recognize that even though you're in a state of necessity and accepting this, that animal lost everything. Everything. Okay? Yes, you're surviving.
Just like my brother did. Yes, I understand. So the people...
I'm sorry that you
anybody
lost your brother.
Can lose.
That's not, but see, what I'm saying is, when you accept those meals, I want you to be healthy. I want you to take care of you, but you need to understand the gravity of what you're doing, even in survival situation. Okay? I don't know if you've lost service. I keep hearing little sounds. I don't know if you're speaking. Oh no, I think we've lost. Ooh! goodness. A lot of sounds happening. I don't know what's happening. I'm so sorry. I think we lost service. Okay, I don't know what's happening right now. I'm so sorry, hon. I'm going to kick you. The squeaking is too loud on my headphones. Just, I want you to be healthy. Take care of you. And when you do have a choice, keep your eyes open for those choices. But it's about you wanting to not want to use the animals. It's not about, I understand that you're just focused on surviving. That's fine. But you're on here on TikTok. That means you have time to think about things. You can think about the morality of using others without their consent. I mean, a lot of vegans there are vegans that sadly do have to cross their principles because either they have a carnivorous pet or companion, or they're living in harsh environments where they genuinely cannot get access to food. But they themselves don't like it, and they're on the look for change in any way they can. That's the difference between someone just relying on or just kind of using this as a crutch versus someone who's just having to cross their principles to survive.
Another point that I just want to add to is that this person who we were just talking to admitted themselves that in the dog showing industry, they see a lot of, I don't know if they're saying poor treatment to animals or unethical treatment to dogs, but I do find it a little bit strange that they admit that they notice a lot of unethical treatment of dogs, but then they still participate in it.
Yeah, I think Chip hit it right on the head too when he said, could you do this without the shows? Which is exactly the point. You could provide the exercise, the entertainment, even the training without going to the shows. You can find parks and open areas, dog parks with other dogs.
I'm sure they do most of the training at their house or, at the park. I'm sure they're not doing it wherever they're
in the waiting list, by the way.
I see them. Yeah. I was watching them in the chat, and I just saw them say that they're requested. Gotcha. Hey.
Okay, so I'm still on a crossland about certain things because I have noticed I know you guys don't consider yourself a community, but everything that is open is a community in time, if that makes sense. If you have people with the same kind of ideals, it's going to become a community. But I guess it's supposed to be a standpoint. If I think
what is veganism? I see. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, from the outside view, I'm open-minded to everything. It seems like this should be a standpoint of what you decide. A community is a secondhand effect of what is drawn together, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I've noticed a lot of people, when I'm discussing something, do not discuss the topic that I had originally brought up, or they go back to a topic that is of food, which again, veganism isn't food. It isn't diet. It should be a moral, from what I'm coming, a moral, your ethics, what you're thinking of using animals less, if that makes sense. So as for the dog shows, I do agility, which is a sport where dogs are put in a arena and they navigate a course with a handler. The idea that is alluring to a lot of people is the understanding of each other completely, if that makes sense. If I turn to my left, my animal, even when he's not looking at me,
okay.
Notice
Marvelous. I just don't want you to go. I don't want you to be long-winded about the situation of what they're doing in the show. That's not the issue. The issue is that you're going to a show because you're showing off what you guys have done to others for reward or whatever. Usually for you, because the dog doesn't.
I was going to say that, and I kind of got.
I know. I need you. The reason why it was already pressed on you though, and then you still shifted to, well, it's, that they have certain connections with you or something. I'll let you finish.
Yes, okay, to sum things up, I guess I'll have to sum things up. Yes, there is
can do it without
showing off
the show.
Your connection with your animal in public.
Right, you can do
building that connection.
You can provide for your companion without going to these shows. That's what we're saying.
So my question is, Does anybody here have qualifications to discuss animal behavior or sport?
Matter. An animal
Like, is
is a
anybody
sentient
here?
being. It doesn't matter what
I'm
any
just asking a
qualifications
question
are.
just as much as you asked
No
the other
one,
people a
no one
question.
here trains animals right now.
Okay.
I've worked
I mean,
in
that's
animal
not an
rescue.
aggressive question. That's just a question that would be open. Like, yes, I do. I
It's
have
more of a
opinions and done
discrediting
this.
question because you're trying to make it sound like because we don't know anything about dog training that we can't
Absolutely
speak
not.
up.
I
Okay.
was simply asking one question to ask if somebody here would be able to talk with me and have an open-minded conversation and understand a standpoint that I've seen and they've seen, if that makes sense.
You're going to get
If
the same
that's
answer
funny,
from
then
any of
I
us.
don't know what to think about the community.
So listen.
Like, if I'm looking into nutrition, I speak to a nutritionalist, right? If I want to be vegan and somebody here said, I have the ability to have you eat a vegan diet and meet your nutritional needs. If I were to deny that and you told me you're a nutritionalist, then I would be just dumb.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Okay.
yes. So I'm open-minded if you want to discuss about it. But the thing about it is, I the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way I see this contest, the issues that I have with these contests is, I understand your need for competition with your dog, and I totally understand that. I don't necessarily have an issue with that. Just like I don't necessarily have an issue with parents signing up their kids for competitions that their kids want to participate in. As I said, as long as it's in the interest of the non-consenting individual, it's all okay. But my issue stands in the competition for animals is that while you may be on that side where you respect the interest of the animal, most other people, as you have also noticed in that competition, don't. And that competition kind of thrives from that uh, behave from that whole institution, right? Because I'm assuming you pay to go into a competition, so you are supporting this form of competing between animals. So others, while you are doing it maybe ethically, others will not may not. So you're still supporting this sort of unethical cause, and there's also the fact that all of these competition for animals are a competition between which animal is the most obedient. It's not a competition between which animal has the nicest personality. It's more like which of them can do the tricks that I teach them.
So, I'm sorry to cut you off, but just like I don't want to assume anything about like the veganism standpoint, and I asked instead of telling people veganisms don't have nutritional needs met, like because I was not knowledgeable enough. Let's say I'm not a vegan. I've
Sorry
never
if I make
studied it. I've
assumption.
never like entered vegan.com or anything. So I mean, I do
But
say,
correct me.
is
Just
it
correct me if I
safe?
make assumptions. Just correct
Okay,
me if I
cool.
make assumptions.
So there are different sports and there are different venues and different things. There's confirmation. Confirmation is the largest thing in dog shows, and it is something that some people believe is correct, but as a like a non-biased person viewing, that is the 90% of those people that you're going to clump that are using dogs. I can see a standpoint. Not that I'm seeing everybody, but I could see your standpoint on that. There is absolutely no reason why people should be breeding these dogs that have higher needs and blah, blah, blah. It shouldn't be done. Does that make sense? We shouldn't have dogs that are bred to be in the confirmation ring that cannot breathe. Like, that is just mind-blowing to me. Do you know what I'm saying? We're breeding that just for aesthetics. That is called confirmation. Then there's also sports. Sports are things that people enter, be it people, like for me, they give me free entries because I'm like minority and I can't afford. They want me to have fun as well and have my dog have fun because I'm crying, oh, my dog wants to go and I can't afford it. Those are different things. So you have different categories, kind of like vegan is different from like, I learned this, vegan is different from like, the ones that eat just fish and stuff. Like everybody has a different standpoint. Does that make sense?
How do you know that your dog wants to compete? I'm just curious. How do you know that your dog wants to go into this actual competition?
Can I just finish? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'll try to sum it up quicker because I'm just moving so slow, right? It's like taking up all the time. So some things that you say are a little bit off, but not so much so that it's like horrifically off. Like competition is confirmation. Trials are agility. So like you enter and you're just kind of like facing the course. You're not competing against other people. Does that make sense? You walk in there, if your dog can't do it, they all clap and you go home. Do you know what I'm saying?
But
If your
none of
dog
these
does do
sound like
it,
ethical to me. None of them sound ethical so far. Like
so
you
the
make them seem as
whole
if they're
scenario.
totally different things. But
Yeah,
like
I
all of
believe that
them,
they are totally different. Just like vegans are totally
they
different
are.
from
Yeah,
people
but
that, everybody's different.
but you know how they're similar? They're similar in the fact that all these competitions are about getting what we want out of these dogs, whether it's how they look or how they behave. It is us judging something that we want out of them. It's not
So
them
that's where I
being how they want to
disagree as
be.
someone who's open-minded. What I have seen in like the sport of fast cat versus confirmation is a vast difference in the mindset and why they are there. Like, for instance, in agility, if your dog is not showing complete pleasure the whole time with the tail up and wagging and happy, the judge would tell you to leave. Does that make sense? If somebody were to ever say, lie down, I can't do this, they would say, get them out of here. You're not in my community.
Is it possible that these animals are trained to keep their tail up?
No, I mean, they're either showing their mindset or they're not. So a lot of the agility people, I'm trying to sum things up. I'm so sorry. I really do apologize. A lot of the agility people, you'll notice that they do like coercion-free training, where the dog is allowed to display whatever behaviors they want.
I just want to be clear that we're just continuing about welfare, and we're still not considering the dog. We're just considering what the sport is.
I'm having this discussion to figure out if I should either block vegans and continue on the anti-vegan posts, or if I should continue in my community trying to change.
Do you think it's fair to use others without their consent?
Trying to change the agility community, right? Because I consider
need to be a part of the community, though. You don't need to be a part of that.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm being talked over. And I just feel like...
Look, I feel like you want to be a victim and you don't want to think about the actual victims, the animals. And I'm getting frustrated because all you're doing is talking about how nice you are to the dogs. But you don't understand that these shows...
I never said I was nice to dogs. I need you to understand
these shows perpetuate breeding, and they perpetuate, like making a dog fit a certain need. That's what dog shows do. I understand, like Chip said, that you are maybe a rare person that is doing it out of the best interest of the dog, but the thing that you're participating in is not healthy for dogs. It is making them be born to be used.
So that's like a different standpoint that I feel is almost like the extremist point that people have been discussing.
I think that you just want to keep focusing on the welfare. If you want to block vegans, that's great on you. We can't make you
I think you want to continue saying something without...
We can't make you be a good person, okay?
And I think you want to continue...
All we can say is that animals are sentient, that they deserve moral consideration, and I understand that that you took someone in because it was kind of forced on you is what it sounded like, and that you do try to take their interest into consideration, but for some reason you are hell-bent on keeping them in the dog show, and that makes me suspicious that it's for your needs, not theirs, because you're not even open to doing other things. All you can talk about is the welfare of the show. Go ahead, Chip, sorry.
My problem was that I just heard the description of the show. I wasn't interested in the description. I was interested in what makes it that it is exactly what you just said, not in the interest of, that it is in the interest of the animal. Why do we need to compete? Why do we need to create breeds who do this? Why do we need all of this? We don't. If you want to, I feel like competitions for animals will almost always be unethical because they are by definition competitions. If you want to call them get-togethers where people meet with their animals and they're like, show the animals, look what I taught my dog, because they get, I understand that dogs get pleasure from learning stuff. It is true, they do get pleasure from learning stuff, and maybe you're a little bit more incentivized to teach them stuff if there's also a little bit of pressure behind it. But I don't feel like I don't feel like there needs to be a competition. I don't feel like there needs to be a place where because the sheer fact of saying,
Yeah, you're right on
look
it.
at how my animal is better because they behave how I taught
Exactly.
them.
It's not a
I
celebration
just
of the accomplishment of the individual. It's comparing and who is better. It's not
Also,
celebrating the individual. Go ahead, sorry.
no. I just want to say I think honestly that they had already made their mind up, especially when they said, and should I block all vegans just because we're not saying what they want us to say? Like we're not, I guess, kissing their ass, and I don't know what they
yeah.
wanted from us.
Yeah, there was such a I also did not like that at all, or said block all vegans and post anti-vegan content. What the hell? What do you mean? So all of the sudden the whole you posting, like, I thought you understood the idea behind veganism. I thought you agreed with the morals of it.
That's what
Now
they said.
I don't know what to believe from anything that they said anymore. I feel like it just sounds like spot on vegan stoner lady calling it. I think they just were trying to victimize themselves. I don't know what else to think.
What's really
But
frustrating.
if their
Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, if their situation is true, it's I'm sorry, it's a really difficult
Oh,
situation if that is the
absolutely.
case.
Vegans, as we've discussed many times, absolutely understand necessity to survive. It's about do we want to support someone's exploitation and oppression? And if you had to, it would not feel good to cross that principle just to survive. But I wouldn't hold it against someone to do that. Like there are many humans that live in, harsh environments that just like food deserts or, people that live in remote areas. I understand that there might be some difficulty, but they would be looking for ways to fix that problem, right? Even if they in the moment have to cross their principles, they don't want to keep doing that if you're really vegan, I mean.
Yeah, but they're too focused on making their dog compete in these shows.
Yeah, what's interesting is that they were very, very upset that we switched the conversation from the dog shows to what they consume. But the reason why we did that was because it's like, well, you think it's okay to use animals for consuming still. Of course, it's going to be hard to understand that you're oppressing your friend to do shows, potentially.
I switched the conversation because it's not the first time I hear people come in and they bring a different thing to it. And then when
Exactly.
we talk about food, they're like clearly don't care about it, right? Maybe
Exactly.
that wasn't the case for that person. I don't know. But 99% of my experience has been that when somebody brings up another topic, they're just trying to deflect. So,
I mean,
yeah.
the comment towards the end of I need to know if I should unfollow all vegans, and that's like all the pressure's on us for this. That seems ridiculous. It should be your principles, not if vegans are mean to you or not. So that's why I was like, I don't think they were vegan because that's such a silly thing to say. If you think
want to
that
block
animals,
us, fucking block us.
I was like, you can block me. That's fine. That doesn't change the point of veganism that, we all agree that using someone without their consent is immoral. And, if you still feel that way, you don't have to call yourself vegan. I don't care what you call yourself. We're just talking about not using sentient beings. That's it.
Yeah, hate us, don't hate the animals.
Exactly. Yeah, Chip, I actually love when you bring it up to people like, don't take this out on the animals just because you're mad at me. Because that's kind of what that sounded like to me, and that's not fair. I have a request. Are you guys ready for another one? Also, Kelly and Hannah Banana, thank you for coming up. I didn't introduce you guys. Definitely, everyone,
sure, that's
go
okay.
follow all the vegans on the panel. Yes.
I was, I have a dog. We talked about this in previous lives about service dogs and whatever. Yeah. I'm not going to jump on it, but yeah, I mean,
Maybe we should have had you speak to her because,
Well, I'm not an animal professional. That's the thing. That's why I unmuted myself because I'm like, I'm not like a professional dog trainer, but I have trained both of my dogs and, I don't know where she was going to go, what point she was going to make. That's why I was hesitant to say
That's
something.
fair. That's fair.
So
Honestly,
I
it
just kept
didn't
my
really
mouth
even
shut.
matter. They just kept going on about the welfare, and it's like, but I understand that
But
they're
it's
really
not
nice.
about the welfare. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
people get so stuck on that, and it's like that's great, but like at the same time, you're forcing an animal to do something that it hasn't consented that it really wants to do. I mean, yes, animals can show that they do show their emotions by their body language and the way they behave, but that's a really hard thing to.
It's not reliable for consent, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
for
can be a bit unreliable if you don't know what you're looking for or if you're not smart in that area. So, yeah, I agree 100%. Yes.
And dogs want to appease their owners, you know,
They do.
like at the end of the day, they really just want to make their owners happy.
Yeah, that's so true.
I mean, that's literally a definition of my dog to a T. Like, that's all he cares about is me, you know?
All right, we got John up here. John, you're welcome. There we go. Perfect. Are you over 18?
Hello.
Hi. Are you?
Yeah, I'm 23.
Oh, right on. So what morally justifies you not being vegan?
So, I guess the example I bring up, is that, like, I live in a rural area, farmer rancher type situation, balanced diet between vegetables and meat and stuff. And I completely agree it's not with, like, the message of veganism. And I understand it's not about, like you guys are saying, welfare, it's about consent, right? And the example I like to use a lot is, like, chickens and eggs, right? And, for example, like an egg, right? Like, I have chickens, and they're all perfectly fine with being around me. They're free range, they roam however they want to. At night, we pin them up for their own safety from foxes and raccoons, coyotes, right? But they're kept comfortable and consenting. We don't go and catch them and throw them in a cage. We just say, we open the gate and put feed there, and they go in, right?
Okay, so where did you get these chickens?
I mean, we've had chickens since we were young. I can't say exactly where I got them from. I'm not really sure. But
so do you guys breed your chickens then?
Normally, what we do is we find like a neighbor, someone who has a rooster, and if we need more chickens, we'll find a chicken or something like that, or a rooster, and we'll let it help repopulate a few chickens.
Excuse me, grape the chickens?
No. That's not really how that works.
So to further on, we're gonna move on further to the brothers, the male chickens here. In evolution, for every female hen, there's a male. Where are all the males?
So normally when we get a male rooster, we'll keep them around for a little while.
No. How many females do you have?
So right now we've got about 6 or 7 back home.
So why do you only have one male? You should have 6 or 7 males.
Yeah, so what we do is if someone else needs a rooster or something like that, like I see your argument there where it's like in the big poultry industry.
How many male chickens does someone need to make more chickens? Just one.
Normally about 1 or 2. Right. It depends. But in like small rural situations like mine, and this is where I think I guess sort of my portion of the argument comes in, is like I'm not someone who's advocating for this like disposing of all the males. What we do instead is we let the males be around each other. And as they grow up, if we do end up getting extra males, it's good for competition against the males, and it's good for them to be around
competition.
So some males will like run each other off, and because we have like a 50-acre property, they'll just kind of roam the 50 acres, or maybe they'll go to someone else's property.
Do you think if I had a dog and I let them just go off into the woods, that would be responsible?
Well, see, that's where my question is. It's like, so you're saying it's all about the consent, and then you also have a responsibility to protect the animal that you're bringing in, right?
Yeah, I can see
we do our best to protect.
So do you know do you know the origins of the chicken?
Yeah.
Their
I'm actually a poultry
ancestors?
science student in
Okay.
college.
So you know about the red
Yeah.
jungle fowl.
Yeah. I
So
actually
how many
work with
eggs?
a small population of them.
How many eggs does the red jungle fowl lay?
Um, I don't know right off the top of my head how many they lay or
They
how
only
often the
lay
red jungle fowl
13
lay.
eggs a year, and they only laid them during a part of the year because they were trying to have babies. And they didn't lay a bunch of
Yeah.
unfertilized eggs, they laid fertilized eggs. So we took the red jungle fowl out of their home where they were thriving just fine, right? And we made them mate with a male or a partner that they would not have mated with because we wanted their baby to be deformed so that they fit our needs more. We wanted them to either produce more eggs or more flesh. So we kept taking a female, forcing her to mate with a male that she did not pick so that her baby was better fit to our needs. And we kept doing that over and over again until that now you have the chicken you have today that has this, where they drop their egg. It's not quite an ovulation, but it's pretty close to it because it's how she has her babies. Instead of only one part of the year, you're making her do that every day or at least multiple times a week.
So I've heard that argument too, and I'm not saying there's anything great about that. I think the whole
You're
idea of
demanding
AI
that a new one be born into existence to replace whoever has passed away if you're not turning him into soup. Most people will take a chicken that's dropped their egg production, take their head and throw them in a pot because they don't care about the individual. That's a resource to be used and doesn't have feelings.
See, yeah, I can completely agree with you on that, and that's where my issue is. It's like I'm not here to completely use them as just a resource. I care for the animals around me, and so when I say I care for their protection, and I give them feed and everything like that.
Well, you
And in
don't though.
return,
You only care about the ones that provide for you. You even just said if you have too many roosters, you let them fight and you let them run each other off into death. Do you think that they survive well in the forest?
Actually, surprisingly,
So you just have
in
a
the
bunch of
bush,
wild male chickens out in the woods?
surprisingly, there's a solid wild population out there. Unironically,
Well, so then that
every
adds
once in
to
a while
you.
you'll
You're
reach out.
even causing more problems then because chickens are not native to being out in your forest and you're just releasing them out there. That's like me having a cat and letting that cat go out there and populate. Like what are you doing?
No. So they live and they do what the roosters live and they do what they need to do, or in most cases,
So they do
actually,
just go out there and they get unalived. They get preyed upon because they're not ready to defend themselves or how to hide themselves from the prey that are there, or excuse me, the predators that are
they
there.
actually are so the roosters are actually very well equipped with that.
They
So
are
are some
not.
chickens.
Look, the point is these animals are domesticated. We've literally bred out many instincts that make it so that they're safe, and you're just honestly being dishonest with me, okay? It's silly that you take these animals to use and you just let them into the wild. That's like me releasing a dog into the wild. The dog might be able to do well, but that's irresponsible. Irresponsible. You should take care of your companions, not be stealing from them, and not just like throwing them out into the woods. You are demanding, it's your fault that those males were born into existence. It's your fault that they now have to go defend themselves in an environment they are not properly prepared to do so. That is your fault. You should stop demanding they be born into existence. That would save all of it.
Well, hold on, because when you do responsibly, right, which is what I believe I am able to do, if you have multiple males, you can keep one or two roosters around. They'll protect the hens.
You're not listening. I'm saying you shouldn't have chickens or roosters at all. You shouldn't have them at all. You're
where
taking
should they be? Should they?
So
right now,
in this very moment, you can be a sanctuary for them and not exploit them, not buy more chickens and demand more individuals be born into existence just to be used. You can take care of the individuals you have now and no longer breed any more into existence. It's that easy.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not about the welfare portion. It's not about how nicely you take care of them and how good of a place they have on your farm. It's about exploiting them for their eggs and using it when people bred them and forced them to produce more eggs than they ever would have, just for us to consume.
Right.
Can I ask John a question real quick?
Please, yeah, jump in there.
So John, I totally get. I want to ask something it's related, but it's unrelated. So I know you take care of your chickens and you feel a connection to them, and you try to give them a good life. Do you buy animal products from the grocery store?
Most of the time I do not, unless it's something I can only find at the grocery store. I get 90 to 99% of my animal products from the animals that I have and that I responsibly take care of.
So it sounds like you're against factory farming, right?
100%, absolutely 100%. That's where I can agree and find a lot of common ground with you guys. Dairy industry is appalling. Most factory farming, most poultry farming is appalling.
So you never eat out animal products at restaurants. You never buy animal products at the grocery store. You never let your friends feed you animal products that came from a grocery store.
Well, that's the thing is in my area when I'm not, driving 4 hours to college, right, and taking my classes and then driving home, I'm at home and there's not a single restaurant in my town. I got to go an hour outside. I live in the middle of rural Texas where it's an hour to the nearest grocery store. So there's no quick and easy way to just, let me pop to the grocery store and grab some bacon, right? I can't do that. So I don't
buy food near the college. There's no grocery stores near the college.
I mainly pack my own food or do online classes. But that's my situation.
So you could go to a grocery store. You could go to a grocery store near your school.
Yeah, I could,
okay.
But I don't.
So you do have options.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to say. You have options.
And it sounds like you are, even if you think that it's not very often, which is a relative statement, but it sounds like you are still supporting factory farming, even if you think it's not very much.
On the rare occasion of a celebration and everyone wants to go out to a restaurant in the big city like San Antonio, you go and you celebrate and you eat one plate of food. That's once or twice, maybe 3 times a year, or maybe a big birthday or something in the family. So I said, I'm not 100% on that, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's unclear to me. You don't consume any dairy products, right?
No, I don't eat very many dairy products, and the ones I do...
Very many? Wait. When you say you don't eat very many, do you eat any dairy products?
Yeah, I'll admit I eat dairy products.
So how is that ethical?
So, a big portion of the dairy products are from goats and stuff like that. I come from a very heavy Mexican background, so I have family members on a ranch a little ways down the road. They have a goat farm or something like that.
Yeah, so they still inseminate the goats. They still separate the babies from them. How is any of that ethical?
Still being exploited to feed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that's another thing. AI is really bad, in my opinion, artificial insemination, and in most small rural communities, especially where I'm from, I can't speak to everywhere, it's not done through insemination and the normal common dairy practices that you see.
Wait a minute. Yeah. This whole thing, it's done through natural thing. Do humans still control the breeding process?
I mean, not really. I mean, you keep
No. Is the males kept separate or not?
No.
Oh, come on, man. I've been to some of the highest standard goat farms on the planet, and they definitely keep the males separate. They still separate the babies from the mothers, and they keep the males separate. And the males I could ask you how many males are in that farm, And you will know for a fact that there are not the same amount of males as there are females because they kill the males. None of those things are ethical. You know that farming is unethical. What are we doing here? Are you trying to justify something that's unethical? You say factory farming is bad. Factory
Yeah.
farming is bad because you see how animals are treated like objects. But you see it you only know that it's bad because you see it. But in all these other situations, animals are still treated like objects. It's just not that obvious to you anymore. But they're still treated like objects. Any farm treats an animal like an object because that's what they are. They're farming them.
Well, for example, like I know this, like I don't like on our farm we don't have any like dairy or anything. We don't deal with that. But like when we have cattle, right? I'll admit we have cattle, and when we go through the process of getting meat from cattle, I'll admit that's a very rough thing, and it's I can see how
When you go through the
the
process of killing them, say killing them. Don't say getting
well
meat from them.
well I don't want to. I'm fully aware of that. I don't want to.
Yeah, we also have to
TikTok
say
ban
unalive for
stuff.
TikTok.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
That's
Unaliving.
okay. Yeah. I know
I fully
TikTok.
understand it. In TikTok language, if we were having a normal non-TikTok conversation, I could be 100% understanding of saying the actual word, and I know exactly that. And you say like in especially in like small farms like where I am, you don't really like go and unalive the males. I mean, I know like I've been taught since a young age, like, oh, that cow, she's having her calf, tonight or something. You go, you help her through the birthing process, and then you spend 1, 2, 3 years taking care of that calf. Now it's a fully grown adult, and it's time to eat it. And now you have meat for 6 months for your
How
whole
long
family.
can they live? How long does a cow live?
Sorry, didn't mean to mute. They can live for a few decades.
Yeah, so if they can live for a few decades, how is it moral to kill them after 2 or 3 years, as you just said?
Well, I can see how the farming portion of it isn't natural, but I feel like I can think to justify the morality in the fact that it's natural to eat this meat, and if I could grow
Wait, wait, wait.
farm enough, yep,
Is graping natural?
it's not raping.
Wait, but it happens in nature. How is it not natural?
Uh, sure, I can see where you're making the argument that if graping is natural and graping is immoral, then you can say that something that's natural doesn't mean that it's moral. I see what your argument is, but um, it's just a natural process for me and my family. Like, it's a whole cultural thing too, right?
What's
Like I
Does
natural
say,
cult
about it? I'm just curious. Like, what makes it so natural?
the process of eating meat. It's something that's been a natural part of diet for a long time for a large portion of humanity, right? Hunter gatherer, and then the agricultural hunters, and that word hunter gatherer.
No, but the farming
Straight.
process specifically.
So, yeah, if it were a perfect world and we didn't have all of this farming infrastructure, then yeah, you could say that it was unnatural. But like, I'm 23. If I could have made the decision to not have all of these fences up and let these animals roam free, that would be my decision 100%. But that's not my choice. And so I have to make the best decision for the cattle that I was on the land that I was given, right?
Isn't
And
the
so,
best choice, wouldn't the best choice be to leave them alone?
I mean, that's basically what you can do, but in almost any situation where you just completely leave them alone, I mean, they do end up doing what they naturally do, tearing down fences, finding other populations, continuing to produce offspring. So instead of having them go through all of these hoops and infrastructure and getting themselves hurt, what you do is you go to another farmer who has a bull or something like that. And you go, hey,
Here's what
you
you
have a
do.
bull.
Here's what you do. I'll tell you what you do. You contact Rowdy Girl Sanctuary and you talk to Renee, because she's in charge of a group called the Ranchers Advocacy Program. advocacy program, excuse me. If you look her up, they can help you transition away from using animals for profit and using your land with animals. They can help you utilize your land in other ways or transfer into a sanctuary for the animals you currently have. But the point is, you have options. So don't say just because you're given these animals, you have to perpetuate their oppression. You can find solutions. You don't have to do that.
So, like, then there's another question I have. When you say I don't have to do that, that's assuming that I can go and find other, like, sources
A
of protein.
resource.
I'm not saying you can't.
What? Wait.
You don't have beans at the grocery store, dude? You don't have Amazon?
Well, there's another thing that's a huge thing is when you go and do all of these. When we talk about factory farming, factory ranching is dealing with animals. Factory farming is dealing with plants and stuff. So that's another huge moral implication.
Oh, so you forgot a big part of animal ag. What do you think animals eat?
No, yeah.
Okay. Do you think a cow eats more or a human?
Through the food chain, a human definitely does.
A human eats more food in a day than a cow. You sure about that?
A cow.
Are you sure?
A cow grazes on plenty of grass all day.
Are you sure?
No.
Cows eat pounds of food. Pounds.
Yep.
Okay, they eat way more than a person does a day. They eat way more plants than a person does a day. So do you know how much of our land is dedicated to growing their food?
Quite a unsustainable.
It's more than for us. Yeah. In fact, all of animal agriculture takes up 83% of our agricultural land. So every issue you have with factory farming plants is mostly going to animals, like 60 to 80% of the crops.
Yeah, and
So if you have issues with crop deaths, if you have issues with fertilizer, whatever, you should be vegan. You won't demand as many plants being born.
Well, I don't go out and purchase these feeds and stuff that go through that process. If you are
buying animal products, if you're consuming animal products, if you're using animals, you're still demanding that feed. Unless you're growing the food yourself, otherwise someone is growing it for you where they could grow human food instead.
Well, that's a real big issue when it comes to the certain ways.
John, look, you are dodging so hard. I want to get down to the brass tacks here. Do you think that it is immoral to cause an animal unnecessary suffering?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think we disagree on
what. So, do you agree that you can get Do you agree that we can get everything that we need from a plant-based diet? Or do you think that we need to use animals?
If it was available, yes. Like, if you're talking from a nutrition standpoint,
Since we know that we can thrive using plants, we don't need to use animals. We are aware that animals can suffer. It is immoral to continue using them. Don't you agree?
Not necessarily.
So let's go into the morality of why it's wrong to enslave animals. Let's start with humans, because I'm sure we agree. Why is human slavery immoral?
I completely agree with what you're going with, and keeping someone who is like a person, keeping a human locked behind bars, forcing them to do work without their consent.
This slave is not locked behind bars. I give them an allowance. They can go out into the world and buy things, but they are my property. They still have to come back to me and do whatever I say. How is that immoral?
You're not giving them their own will, basically. They still have to
respecting them.
By your rules.
Right. Yeah. I'm not respecting them because they are an autonomous, they're an individual, right? Having their own experience, regardless of their intelligence or what they look like. That's all that matters. The fact that they are experiencing the world and making preferences, right?
Okay.
That's what makes human slavery immoral. Taking that away from someone is wrong. And I'm saying that the animals are very much the same. Just because they look different and they think a little bit different doesn't mean that they don't deserve moral consideration. They share everything that's an important thing for humans They have the same thing. They have the capacity to suffer. They have an interest in continuing to make preferences, right? They avoid harm, prefer to be comfortable. We share that with them. And if we want that respected, we should reflect that same respect to all beings that have that same capacity. And it's understandable to be in a tough spot and realize, using animals is immoral and it might feel overwhelming to make a change, but that's at least a start. You need that motivation to go look for those alternatives. If you feel in your heart this is wrong, you'll find those resources, and they exist. They're out there. And you can talk to other vegans, but you have to want to go vegan yourself.
That's where I think I could completely agree with you on most of it till the end. And I think I heard someone say it earlier here before I had joined up, and it's basically under the idea that when I come onto lives like this, try and get the point across. And most people have some semblance of agreement with this. Is that if we're talking on like defense, not everyone can do that.
You can do it though, John. You can do it. When you go to school, you can try to make an effort to get to a grocery store after classes or before classes. You can make efforts to reach out to Renee at the Ranchers Advocacy Program to change over your land use so that you're no longer demanding more slaves be born into existence. You can do things. But right now you're still saying, I can't do it, even though these are free access to you. You can go on the internet and access these resources. Or, like you said, I'm more than sure that a college has access to grocery stores. I've never been to a college that doesn't have a grocery store near it.
He said he has access to grocery stores.
He did. He said that his closest one was an hour away, which still, I would say, then do the hour drive. Just pack up enough food for the month. But anyway, that's what you do when you live out in the middle of nowhere. You have to be prepared for long periods of time to not be able to go to the grocery store or whatever. That's fine. But just do it without using animals. It's that easy. In fact, the foods that are going to last the longest are not animal products. It's the beans, the rice, the dried foods and stuff, the canned foods. And it's just, anyway, yeah. I just felt like he wasn't coming from a place of respect. Go ahead, sorry. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I just think that it's always so funny when people are like, no, I really don't eat that many animal products from the grocery store, from restaurants. Because when if you ever were to actually break down their day-to-day life, it's actually ends up being a lot. And any amount is obviously not good, but I just think it's funny that when they say, no, I don't eat that much meat, I don't eat that much dairy, it usually ends up actually being quite a lot.
Yeah. He's in the request again. I didn't drop him. It just fell. He must have lost connection or something. I'll bring him back up, but I'll be honest, guys. I usually only go 3 hours, so I might. This is the last person. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
All right, cool.
Can I ask him a question when he joins?
Oh yeah, please do. I'll bring him up.
So hey John. So I have a question.
Sorry about
for
that.
you.
My internet cut out. Yeah. What's your question?
No worries. Sure. So what do you want to get out of this conversation? Because we constantly get people who come in here and they try to justify their actions, or they want some form of approval, or we get people who want to prove us wrong, or we actually get people who are interested in the conversation and actually want to hear a difference in opinion. So I'm curious, what is your goal over here? Because so far the whole conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, it felt a little bit more like trying to justify yourself with your choices. But I'm sorry, I'm not interested in hearing your justifications. I'm interested in animals no longer being oppressed. And if you know you have a responsibility in the matter, and do you think you can act? Do you think you can make changes?
No, yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you in the acting and the making changes. But I guess you asked me what my point is. My big point, and then I'm about to have to get off here in a few seconds, is I just like coming onto these lives and reinforcing the idea that I 100% agree with the ideals of veganism, but when it comes down to realism, it's not realistic for everyone. I don't have the income or the money to go out and buy from a grocery store all of my food. It's a
But
financial standpoint. It's a cultural
but John,
standpoint. Yeah.
John, so there's this thing called Challenge 22. They hook you up with a nutritionist. They send you recipes every day, and they help you adopt a plant-based diet for free, and they help you be within your budget. I feel like if your budget is your issue, if your financial situation is your issue, I'm sure you can make it work. We don't have to mention the fact that studies show there's been 3 studies that show that in US, Western Europe, UK, and Australia, being a plant-based diet is actually between 15 to 30% cheaper. But like I wholeheartedly believe that if you want to find a way to make it work within your budget, you can. So if you're coming up here to try and feel good about yourself, I mean that's okay if you actually believe in the vegan message. But if you actually believe in the vegan message, then why would you come up here and say that the vegan message doesn't always work if you actually believe in it? It sounds to me like you don't actually believe in it. You're just trying to find a way to make yourself feel good about the fact that you're not vegan, while you completely understand that perhaps most people should be.
No, yeah, I'm not really looking for validation, but I am just coming on and talking about how, it's not a completely realistic thing to ask every single person to go vegan. It's always, you don't know everyone's situation and everything like that. And I guess there's some smirking behind there because I'm fully aware of the studies that say that veganism is cheaper and all this stuff. But
Laugh because I'm smirking because I'm only talking to one person at a time, on a case by case basis. I'm not talking to the world in this video. I'm talking to you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I heard you specifically, the host, mention that you fully understand that if someone physically can't go vegan due to different circumstances or whatever, then that's not something that you're just trying to get the message across. But I wanted to come up here and speak my mind on that portion and then go ahead and respectfully get off. And I'm glad that I joined this live and we spoke in a respectful manner. I like lives that are respectful. So I'm going to go ahead and step down, and I hope that you guys have a great day.
John, keep coming back to these lives, keep having conversations. But maybe, you know what, as a simple homework for you, next time you come up on a live like this, try to challenge one simple notion that you have. Maybe it's the way you treat your animals, maybe it's those exceptions that you make when you go out. Try to just challenge one of them, because I feel like if you try to challenge all of them, it will be difficult, because it's, our mind uses compartments to distinguish each issue, and each of these issues definitely stem from a different source, including for yourself. So maybe if you come back on the live, simply talk about these exceptions that you make. I feel like that's an easy one to tackle with anybody. And then you will see where you're getting at. I'm just trying to say this because maybe you'll understand your own choices a little bit better when you do that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 100%. Like you said, there's that whole becoming a sanctuary and stuff like that. If I could do that in a heartbeat, I would, and stuff like that. And maybe one
That's
day I will.
definitely the hard part.
Yeah.
That's definitely the hard part for you, and I get it, because you're in a situation that's somewhere it's been your whole life is around that other side of it. And while we all disagree with it, I feel like until you tackle that, you need to tackle these exceptional situations, because when you make these choices, I would say that's where the root of the issue comes. The fact that you think you're entitled to make these choices, even when you go out and you say there's exceptions. So I think I would tackle those, but we no longer have time now. You also have to go. We also have to go. And I just wanted to say that those would be a better one if you go on another vegan live, or you come back here to discuss.
Perfect. Yeah. Genuine note taken. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Also, I want to add before you step out, I'm sorry, John. I'll message you the Rowdy Girls, the Ranchers Advocacy Program. I'll send that to you just so that you have it if you feel open to checking out, because Renee used to be a rancher. Her and her husband had a big ranch. So she's been in your situation before, and she's just a great resource to talk to. So
perfect. Yeah. I'll
message that to you.
I'll definitely look in and research it. You guys
I
have a great
appreciate it,
day.
John.
Bye.
Yeah, you too. See you later, John. Well, it didn't go as well as I wanted it to, but at least he's going to check out the resources, and that's a big step. So that's good.
Yeah, hopefully
There
he
was
does.
just so many excuses.
Yeah, that's that cognitive dissonance. Like he agrees with us. He hears that we shouldn't be mistreating animals, but he's missing the mark on they deserve moral consideration in the sense of their best interest, not am I taking good enough care that I can take from them.
Right.
Yeah. But
He
like
kind
I
of
said,
contradicted himself too.
he did. But he, at the end, I'm at least glad he was open to looking into our resources because that's a start. It's like, okay, maybe I do
Right.
need to go check this stuff out. And I really appreciate that.
Hopefully
Takes
he
a big
will.
person to
Hopefully
do
he
that.
will.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
If
he
he
will.
does, he's a great big person because that's what it takes is someone to be like, I
Exactly.
want to grow. So,
It takes a lot to change, and
yeah.
change is what pushes people. We just need to change. And I don't think science is off by saying by 2070 that the world will be vegan. And in 2050 it's going to be more so. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
Well,
I thought it was a great live.
yeah, I think we actually did pretty well today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great team. It was pretty decent. I didn't have as many trolls today, which was relieving. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, did you guys want to say any last words? Everyone should go follow all the vegans on the panel. Do you guys want to say something about your channel or about anything, about any conversations? Any last words?
No.
Where do
Can't
you
wait
get
for the next
those?
one.
Yeah, where do you get those awesome T-shirts? You
The
get
shirts?
some great T-shirts. Yeah.
On Etsy, there's someone called Fair Stickers, and they also make, I don't have any around me though, they also make these activist stickers you can put on products, but they make a lot of these shirts that are, this is printed on the front and the back.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you can't see me. Yeah, it
There you
says
go.
Oh, I
the
see,
exact
I see.
same thing, yeah. But the QR code takes you to Dominion.
That's tight.
So if I'm at the grocery
Nice.
store and someone's standing behind me, they can like casually scan it. No one will talk to me though. I have I'm sure you guys have seen my sweatshirt. It says, "Tell me why you're not vegan." But no one will actually approach me, which is understandable. I was like thinking about like everybody's just, doing what they got to do and they don't want to stop and talk to me, but it's still also.
I should wear that when I teach a yoga class.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes. Yes, because everyone's going to be
They
either
hate
looking in
me.
the mirror or your back. I don't know. Yoga actually is very in line with veganism. If they're true yogis.
True yogis, yes, absolutely. But it's so weird how many yoga teachers and how many yogis actually want nothing to do with veganism. It's very strange to me.
That's sad. Yeah, because it's like, I don't remember everything, but it's about like energy, right? Or something like that. I don't really remember everything about that. I just remember that they're more about peace and harmony and not taking someone's freedom from them. And it just aligns really well with veganism. So.
And nonviolence. Like that's a big yogi principle. And like the original yogis from India did not eat meat.
Yeah. I feel, I don't know if you guys have seen Christspiracy, but there are some people that are, so devout in their religion, and they talk about how their religion, they can't even take the life of an animal, even if they're near perishing, but if they're given the animal product, it's okay. And I was like, so the original people of that religion probably were vegan, and then that they like found a loophole of some sort that made it still acceptable. I think it was Buddhist monks, and they were saying that this cow is my mother because they reincarnation. So that's why they don't take the life of an animal, even if they're about to perish. But if someone was to cook up a cow and feed it to them, they would accept it, even though they themselves literally believe that is their mother.
The mental gymnastics.
I know. I was so shocked in Christspiracy because they were like talking about compassion and then all of a sudden they just flipped like that. I'm like, whoa, what happened? I got whiplash from that. Anyway, yeah. It's really sad. I think people have honestly just been manipulated though. I think we all share this principle, and I'm yapping too much now, but we all share that principle. We want to be free. We want our autonomy respected. We know that animals deserve that. It's just when our benefits get in the way, it clouds our morality, and we start to have that cognitive dissonance. So some people are really in it. It's hard to shake them out of it. But anyway, all right. Appreciate you guys. Go follow all the vegans. We need to get Chip up to 1,000 because he needs to also go live on this platform. I don't know if you ever will, but we need you to get to the possibility of doing it. And then we've got...
I'm above 1,000.
You're above 1,000? Chip, we got to get you to go live. You got to go live.
I wanna do it in a way where I can go live both on YouTube and
So
TikTok. So
I think the only way is, I think you can do it with StreamYard. You can pay for a way, because the issue that I ran into, because I'm using OBS, is that the OBS won't transfer the sound of TikTok to YouTube, is what I was struggling with. Maybe I just, yeah, because it'll...
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, to have the conversations on TikTok and also post them, also be live on YouTube at the same time. Yeah.
I wonder if maybe what you could do is, I do remember someone saying they like projected their phone onto their desktop, and then they do as like a screen recording of their phone, and then use that with OBS to YouTube. That might be an option.
The problem is that in Europe, it is banned. Because apparently there's some privacy issues with screen sharing on iPhone. So yeah.
Oh, I will look into that. I did not know that there were issues. Okay, I'll look into that. Another one is StreamYard. I think even Sky uses StreamYard. I think you can pay for it to possibly do, because TikTok, you have to get a code from them, I think, in order to be able to put it into your stream system. But it's just like the same way that you can request to use the desktop version of TikTok, you can ask them for that code. I just haven't done that yet, and I probably should. But those are my methods I've tried so far, everything I just shared with you.
I'll make it work. I'll make it work somehow.
If you figure it out, let me know, because I also would like to do that.
Yeah. I think there was an app, but I forgot the name of it. So
okay,
I'll find it.
Yeah, I know there's like StreamYard, and there is one other one I can't think of.
Are you on Windows or on Mac?
I'm on Windows.
So on Windows, you do have the TikTok Studio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you can theoretically do the TikTok Studio live from there, and then share the audio from the TikTok Studio.
Yes, I don't. So because I was asking Chat GPT how to do it, and it said that there's a code somewhere. I'm looking right now at the same time. That you're supposed to throw into OBS. I forgot where though, because I don't have the instructions in front of me. I'll message you about what I have if you want.
Yeah.
But if you figure it out, please let me know, because I also would like to just stream to both. That would be a lot easier for sure. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I've kept you guys up here too long. I appreciate you being here though, and all the vegans in the chat. Yeah. Did you have anything else you want to add, Lori?
Oh, no. I'll see you Wednesday, right?
Yep, Wednesday. Hopefully. I'll be out here 3 p.m. If I don't see you then, I'll be Friday 3 p.m. PDT, and then Monday again.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
All right.
All right. I'll see you then, girl.
Yep. I'll see y'all later. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, even non-vegans, for being here. Keep putting yourself in the positions that make you uncomfortable. Be aware of everything that you can. It's good to keep asking questions. All right. I'll see y'all later. Have a great vegan day.